Now fast forward, as the 1-month school break is finally over. Hajin looks around and thinks that everyone is doing well, since the atmosphere within the cube looks good, and he also hears about social media from cadets around him. As such, he remembers that it's been a while since has last checked the social media accounts of the main characters. He used to do it all the time before. As he opened the social media app, all he sees are posts from Shin Jong-hak. Seeing which, Hajin calls Shin Jong-hak completely mad. He notes that Kim Soo-ho and Yoon-ha doesn't use social media much, and Rachel's account is managed by the Imperial family. And Naeun, the last post she uploaded was after the casino incident. And it looked like she had quite a huge shock. She would probably overcome it though. But Hajin is glad that there aren't any major problems with any of them. Now as the instructor arrives, he informs the class that today marks the start of the second semester. And as they know, the second semester is quite different. Not only there will be changes in ranking, but there will be also newly transferred cadets. And he is sure that there are people who already saw the transfer ceremony yesterday. Hajin thinks that at this time, mages who want to become heroes from the 10 magic academies from all over the country will transfer into Cube. 20 from each academy, a total of 200 of them, and he has already memorized the faces of the mages that are important in advance. The instructor then calls in the transfer students to come in. As they come in, Hajin starts counting and sees that one of them looks familiar. He wonders if she is one of the mages whose face he recognized, but he is shocked upon noticing something. He recognizes her as Toma. He quickly opens his smartwatch and thinks that although her hair and skin color are different, that is definitely Toma's face, and he wonders what is she doing here. We see Hajin gets a notification of a partial story change, as Toma is now trying to build connections with important characters from the start. Seeing which, Hajin thinks that there is another unnecessary piece of trouble, as we see Toma smirking. Now fast forward, and we see a brand new place, and Hajin seems to be moving into it. Evangel excitedly asks him if they're going to be living here from now on. And Hajin replies, they will, and says that it's huge, isn't it? And she replies that she loves it. Hajin thinks that he got to move to a new accommodation due to his increase in rank. Not only did he jump over 600 positions, he was also in one of the upper middle ranks, which is pretty good, and now that his accommodation has gotten bigger, it would be easier for Evangel to live with him. And as for what should he do with Toma, he can only start to think about it slowly from now on. Hajin starts to leave while telling Evangel that he would be back after class, and she tells him goodbye. After school started, the first lesson was outdoor training, with the main objective being to help existing cadets and transferred cadets get to know each other better. It's also known as Dangerous Mountains, though despite the name, this mountain doesn't have any dangerous monsters. But there are tons of dangerous traps lurking in various places. They have reenacted the kinds of traps that the demonic humans use. If they slip up due to carelessness, they would be headed for the hospital, hence they should make sure to be alert at all times. And each group will have 12 members, and there will be a designated entrance for every group, so they should move towards them now. And after the teams are formed, the instructor orders everyone to head in. As they head inside, the atmosphere completely changes, and they cannot believe how dark and cold it is in here. Suho tells them, as the instructor said, they don't know where the traps are. So they should be careful, but right as he says that, one of the cadets gets caught into one of the traps. Naeun says that it appeared as soon as Suho said it, as the roots traps most of the cadets except for Suho and Naeun. As they keep going further, we see them getting mangled up in a bunch of different traps. Everyone, including Suho and Naeun, are completely terrified of the last trap, especially, with Naeun saying that her heart almost stopped and Suho saying that it was really scary. Suho commends Naeun for doing well, and she replies that he did good as well. Suddenly, Naeun asks Suho that they are friends, aren't they? And Suho replies that of course they are, and asks, why is she asking that? She simply tells him that it's nothing and thinks that this is a natural response, but thinks that Hajin didn't want to be friends with her. But she thinks that could it be that he doesn't want to be friends, but rather something more, as she starts to blush while thinking that. Suddenly from the bushes, we see Hajin arriving and he asks them, what are they doing here? The two cadets, Lee Jion and Simon Dellick, tells Naeun and Suho that there was an illusion barrier, and they have been roaming around lost for an hour. But then Hajin suddenly asked them to move out of the way with a frustrated look. At first, Simon wondered why, but Hajin was able to find the entrance very quickly. Simon also remembers that they will be working in teams soon, and Ji-yoon comments that team training has always been a part of the second semester for generations after all. She asks Suho and Naeun if they have decided on their team yet, and they both replies that they haven't. Jiyoon speaks up that she is thinking to team up with Hajin. Hearing which, Naeun is quite shocked, and Jiyoon says that they will have to choose their team members across different ranks anyways, and he is the best among cadets whose ranks are in the triple digits, and he is also pretty smart. Naeun tries to argue for them to not do that, and tells them that he is cold-hearted and hard to deal with, so she doesn't think that it would work out. While saying all this, she thinks to herself, that why is she even saying that? Simon chimes in and tells them that more importantly, don't they know there is a really negative rumor about him? That he leaves Cube very often, and he also heard that he goes out to enjoy all types of indecent entertainment when he goes out. And from what others said, he also routinely pays money to gangsters as well. But Naeun gets pissed hearing all that about Hajin as she walks on Simon in anger and asks him if he has seen him do that himself. Simon gets scared and replies that it's not him and it's just a rumor, and Naeun once again asks him if he has seen him do that himself, and he replies that he hadn't seen it. Naeun replies that despite all this, how can he still believe in such a ridiculous rumor? Suho also agrees with Naeun and tells Simon to not spread such rumors if they didn't see him do that themselves, and Hajin isn't that kind of person who would do that either. And now they all starts to leave as they have rested enough, and Jiyoon tells them, see you later. Now we switch scenes to some building and see someone clearing their throat. We see it's Yoon-ha who was checking her voice change, which is perfect. And since this is the first time meeting, she notes that there cannot be any mistakes. The Information Guild, Falling Blossoms, it's a completely independent of the essence of the Strait, consisting of intelligence agents that only works for her. We see her wearing a mask and a hoodie as she greets everyone. They all greet Yoon-ha back and refers to her as Master. Yoon-ha notes that it's a good start and thinks she has split Blossoms into 3 divisions. Team 1 would collect information or plans of competing guilds, Sejak. She tells them that it would consist of creationist benevolence, forlorn moon, etc. Finding out the plans of their competing guilds will be the top priority. And Team 2, they focus on letting her know of new dungeons or appearance of new monsters that are upper intermediate grade or above, called Watchtower. And the last, Team 3, they will only move in shadows and perform background investigations, tailing others, kidnapping and blackmail. And if needed, they would take lives as well and will be called the Shadows. She gives her order to Team 3 to find out about the past of 5 targets, however they are strictly prohibited from allowing themselves to be seen or be hurt by them. Yoon-ha thinks that it goes without saying that 4 of these 5 targets are just fillers, and she tells them that it's all for today and that she hopes to see great results from them. As she dismisses them, Yoon-ha thinks that there is only one real target, and that being Kim Hajin. Now on the next day, as Hajin wakes up in the morning, he notices Evangel sleeping beside him and wonders, when did she came in? Looking at her, he thinks that she is really cute and pats her on the head. From out of his room, his pet cat starts to meow as well, as Hajin tells her that she is awake too. He pats her as well, and thinks that a witch is capable of creating spirits, and this spirit cat is not an illusion or temporal form. It's an actual creature that Evangel made with her abilities. Though it looks cute right now, but it would become powerful in the future. Hajin goes out and is walking while yawning, and someone calls him out. And it's Yoon-ha who asks Hajin where is he going as it's so early in the morning. He replies that he is going to the canteen. They both start walking together and Yoon-ha says that she heard he climbed quite a number of ranks this time around, and he replies, yeah. And that he is thinking he might continue to stay in this vicinity in the future as well, and Yoon-ha asks if he has plans for the future already. And isn't that too early to be planning for that? And he replies, not at all, since they will be going on hero internships starting from the 3rd year, and it would be hard for them to even visit Cube. Yoon-ha then asks Hajin about joining the Essence of the Strait. Hajin thinks the guild which Yoon-ha would become the leader of in the future, and that it would be a guaranteed path of success for him, but he tells her the Hunters of Light appeals to him more. And that it depends on whether he can actually get in. Its system isn't very fixed since they are mainly made up of mercenaries. Yoon-ha thinks and tells Hajin that she will change his mind. And that if she brings him something that he has been looking for a long time, then he would probably think differently, isn't it? Hajin is confused and asks her, what is it? And she replies, not telling. She also informs Hajin that Lee Jin-ah, who previously harassed him, she also got punished. Now in the classroom, Hajin is staring at Suho and remembers that it's about time for Kim Suho to start preparing to clear the dungeon. In the original story, Kim Suho was climbing up Gamak Mountain after the summer vacation ended. And a resonance of energy drew him to find an undiscovered dungeon, and while it's not possible for someone to clear dungeon alone unless they are pretty strong, Kim Suho, the protagonist, managed to defeat the boss alone and obtain a really important weapon. And that weapon is expected to be awakened with the power of the sapling dust. But the problem now is that Hajin is the one who has the dust, and he is also worried about whether he would be alright alone. In order for Kim Suho to grow properly, he must go to the dungeon together with him, since this is a world that he designed, it's not the one that's kind to him. And by going there, Hajin also hopes to find something for himself. Now at evening, Hajin wonders, what should he do with Toma? As he would like to prepare some measures against Toma before the dungeon raid starts. But Toma isn't fully on the demonic human side, and if he could find her father, then he could possibly win her over to their side. Because she is only after one thing, which is to find her missing father and kill him with her own hands. Though the problem is that he doesn't know where to find him either. He has tried using the Book of Truth, but he might not have had enough mana because it only gave him some vague information. And since the fixer, Yo Jinhyuk, only works within the Korean peninsula, it would be meaningless to ask him if the target is overseas. As such, Hajin tries to think of someone else he can ask for help, and with that he remembers someone from Chuandong's memories. The only connection that Kim Chun-dong has, a graduate from the Agent Military Academy's intelligence course, Kim Hosob. As Hajin contacts him and introduces himself, he is quite surprised upon being contacted by him and says that it's been a long time since they talked after the admission ceremony, and asks him, what's up? Hajin replies that it's nothing serious, and that since he is working in a company that's dealing with information, he was wondering if he could help him find someone, which he will pay him for as well. Hosob replies, he can, as long as he knows the name, and Hajin thanks him for that. Suddenly, Hajin also asks if his boss is giving him a hard time, and Hosob replies, how does he know? And Hajin says, it's because he sounds so lethargic. Hajin recommends him a guild if he is having thoughts on quitting his current company, and assures him that with his skills, he would be surely treated well. It's an information guild known as Falling Blossoms. Hosob thanks him for that, and Hajin gives him a good luck. And after cutting the call, he tells Yoonha that she owes him one now. Now at night, we see Kim Suho training with sword and practicing his moves. We see him thinking about something, as suddenly, Hajin arrives from behind the bushes, asking if he is still training this late. Upon noticing him, Suho asks if he is here to train as well, and Hajin replies that he was just taking a stroll and that he is really working hard, even though it's just a start of the semester. As if he is training to clear a dungeon, and Suho chuckles nervously and replies that there is no way he would do that. But Hajin mention Gamak Mountain, hearing which shocks Suho. Hajin continues on that he knows he found a dungeon entrance there last week, isn't it, and that he is intending to raid it all by himself. Suho asks, how does he know that, and Hajin replies that he saw him by coincidence, as he go out of the academy pretty often, after all. And that he is not boasting, but these eyes of his. They are quite good, and they are quite useful even outside of Cube. As such, he tries to propose Suho something. It's that he would go to that dungeon with him, and the reward ratio would be 9-1. If he finds a branch, then he would take few leaves from it, and ask Suho, how does that sound to him? Suho reveals that just as Hajin thought, he has discovered a dungeon on Gamak Mountain last week. He assumes that it's small in size because it's still a new dungeon, and he thought that it was at a level where he could clear it all by himself. Hajin replies that even if it's small, it's still a dungeon, it would be hard to solo it, and Suho agrees with the risk to clear it alone. But he suddenly drops his hoodie and says whether he can trust Hajin with his back is a separate question. He starts getting ready to fight Hajin, stating that he needs to confirm his abilities first. Hajin is quite taken back from this development, as he wasn't expecting this, but Suho assures him that it would only be a simple test, and he is going to be fine, though Hajin is scared thinking, like hell it would be. As even if Suho decides to give him one-hand handicap, he would still barely win, as the difference in their abilities are too huge, so he has to avoid fighting him head-on at all cost. Hajin tries to make up excuses that it's disadvantageous for him as a shooter to fight in an open terrain like this, and his abilities are greatly affected by his weapons, so he thinks it's a little unfair with him. Suho doesn't listen to anything, claiming it doesn't matter because he is not testing how good his weapon is. And he doesn't need to win against him either, he would stop himself when he is satisfied with the results. Hajin gets his mouth shut from hearing that and thinks that Suho is hell-bent on testing him. He tries to think of a way. He knows that the moment he infuses mana into that wooden sword, his bullets won't work at all. If they fight head-on, not only will he lose, he would look pathetic. In order to pass, he can only hope to get lucky. Suddenly, he notices something on the ground, and Suho says that he will start immediately if he is ready. Hajin starts doing something behind his back while saying that he don't need to prepare much, and they should start right away. Hearing which, Suho quickly closes the distance between them, though Hajin uses his eyes to track his movements. He activates bullet time and steps backward, while claiming to be able to see the movement his wooden sword will make. He dodges Suho's first strike, but Suho immediately goes on for a second stab while still being in mid-air. Hajin gets slight scratch, noting that Suho is quite fast, and he cannot just be on defensive. As such, he takes out his weapon and shoots, which Suho dodges. Suho quickly makes some distance, as Hajin notes that even with bullet time, he is so fast that he is barely able to dodge him, and the longer it drags out, the more at disadvantage he would be. Looking at Suho's jacket, he thinks that he needs him bait him into taking just that one step. Suho disappears from his sight and appears right behind him. Hajin looks back in shock, wondering when did he get behind him. He quickly fires his ether and attaches it to the tree behind him. He quickly pulls himself towards it, dodging Suho's strike. Suho comments that he is able to dodge something of this level, but he quickly catches up to him with a single step. As Suho gets up close to him, Hajin thinks, just a little more, and Suho's foot gets right over his jacket. Right as his feet touches the jacket, he is flung back in the air. Hajin smiles, thinking that he did it, and we see Suho crashing on the ground. Hajin quickly gets behind him, asking if he is satisfied with this. Hajin notes that what he did doesn't inflict any damage and is volatile because it would only last for 10 minutes before disappearing. And he is quite glad that he invested his SP into this, while Suho accepts his defeat with a smile. He gives Hajin his hand and accepts his offer to go together with him. Hajin grabs it and says that he can count on him. Now at some abandoned factory in Suwon, we see Junghyun, who asks Drune that he destroyed the relic like he told him to. Is it really okay to destroy something so precious? Drune tells him to not worry, as there is a way to get double its value back, which is when they use this item from UK. As such, Drune activates it and it starts shining golden. The light shines on the broken sword, and it starts to get reformed. And we see multiple copies of the sword are also being created, and Drune explains that they are replicas made from fragments. There is no need for any other processes, it can make parts of the relic even with just the crystals. And based on the test results, this weapon possesses an ability that's above low-grade relic. The relic can produce around 30 swords with just one sword, and based on mana capacity of the crystal, they can make 6 more of them. If they sell each one at minimum of 700 million, it would be at least 5 billion. Jungyang smiles hearing that, commenting that this is a goose that lays golden eggs. Jane arrives and claps to get their attention, calling it amazing, and says that she has an important thing to say. It's that Masked Demon's master has started to raid Suwon's Den of Devils. She confirms with her captain that they are their next target, and she replies, they are. And they, the Chameleon Troop, will be stealing from the Masked Demon's master this time. While walking back, Suho thinks the movements that Hajin showed him. He notes they were both slow and full of openings, and he also did his best to dodge his attacks. And also that unknown attack at the end, which gets him wondering, what on earth was that? He wonders if it's some kind of physical power or an instantaneous mana discharge. But after thinking for a bit, he smiles and laughs, stating that he can figure it out, no matter how hard he thinks. He seems a bit relieved, thinking that if one is stronger than the average, then it would attract unnecessary attention, and the reason Hajin probably hides his strength is to protect himself. Before, Suho thought that he was the only one who hid his strength. But there was another person who was thinking of the same thing as him. Suddenly, he hears some sound ahead, and upon reaching, we see it's Naeun, who seems to be practicing with her sword. Unknowing to her, Suho sneaks up behind her and asks, what is she doing, which scares the hell out of her. He asks if she was training with her sword, and she gets embarrassed and replies that she was simply training her stamina. Seeing Suho out late also interests her, as she asks him, what was he doing out so late? Suho smiles, thinking of something, and tells Naeun that he met up with Hajin, hearing which surprises her as she asks, what business would they have with each other? Suho replies that they both talked about her, which causes her to blush and explode, saying, "What nonsense are they talking about?" Suho apologizes and reveals that he was just joking and that they were just sparring a little with each other. Naeun questions, isn't Hajin too weak to be sparring with him, and if there is a need for Suho to do that with him? Suho annoys Naeun by saying that it's a secret between them two. Naeun starts to leave, while telling them to do whatever, as she would just go to finish up her training. But Suho gives her a tip to relaxing a little on the hand that she uses to hold her sword. And if she holds it that tightly, she wouldn't be able to cut things that she should be able to cut. Seeing Suho's demonstration really excites Naeun, as she asks him to show him again, and Suho teaches her how to grip her sword. Back in the dorm, Naeun seems to be in thoughts, as she holds out her arm against the ceiling. She remembers Suho's words about him offering to help with her practice if she is all right with it. She thinks that it feels if she does something a little different, that she would be able to get a better grasp on it. But all this thinking gets her frustrated, as she gets up calling it quite stressful. She looks towards her gaming console, while saying that it's the only way for her to relieve her stress late at night. It's a device that many active heroes use to do image training. A virtual game that is popular all over the world, Gladiator of the Century. The league that opens every season is broadcasted, and it's so popular that even the media is interested in the winner. And there is a special thing about Gladiator of the Century as well. It's different from a normal game, as it doesn't have stats or any items. Which means that one can only try to win with their own fighting instincts and control over the body, as she starts to boast about her results. Though as she is here to relieve some stress, and such decides to ignore the rankings and find someone to fight with quickly. She notices someone passing by, named Extra 7 with 43 wins and 43 losses and of the platinum rank. She sends him a challenge, thinking that it would be a piece of cake for her. He accepts her duel request, as Naeun thinks that the basis of a fight is to figure out the opponent. She decides to wait and observe to see how his attack, but as soon as the match starts, he rushes towards her to attack, which surprises her. He starts landing consecutive strikes on her, the moment the duel started. In the middle of the strikes, he suddenly grabs her by the collar and swipes on her leg, which causes her to lose balance, and then he strikes her with his sword, ending the duel. She gets pissed afterwards by his sneaky tactics, calling him a little rat. Stating that she cannot lose to him, she challenges him to another round, which he once again accepts. But she loses again, and as she keeps re-challenging him, she keeps losing. She gets frustrated and accepts that she cannot win against him, not even once. She tries to request one more round, but he declines this time, saying that he needs to go to sleep. She tells him to wait, and asks if he always logins around this time, and which he says he does. She asks if he can duel with her every time they meet, which he agrees to. As the guy logs out, wondering who Naeun was, as she was so darn persistent. We see it was Kim Ha-jin behind that character, who apparently won 7 consecutive times against Naeun. Though he was only playing to check if his talent also works in the game. Hajin thinks that the function of the random enhancement is way better than he thought. He did got a little worried when his mana was starting to run out. The concept of this is literally enhancement. With this trait, his gaming device is on a whole different level as compared to others. And even in game, he feels that his senses are completely enhanced. Though he calls it a pity that the range of enhancement is only 1 to 44%, but his luck stat makes up for it. Suddenly, he looks over and finds Evangel eating cake. He quickly takes it from her, questioning how did she eat so much so quickly, and if she eats more, she would upset her stomach. She tries to ask for more, but Hajin tells her that she can have more tomorrow. Though she still doesn't give up and tries to get the cake, while Hajin is worried seeing her whining for sweet stuff now. He picks her up and tells her that he would go get her something even more delicious tomorrow morning. She asks, would he really, and Hajin replies that he has never broken a promise, have he, and tells her to go to sleep now, which she does so. Now at night, Hajin seems to be checking his smartwatch. He then notices that Suho has sent him a message, it's to meet on the 2nd Friday of August. Hajin smiles thinking that everything is going as he planned, and all that is left now is to clear the dungeon. And so, for the next few days, he simply trained and studied every single day. And also continued his sparring with Naeun, who is quite annoyed at his moves, and asks, how did he did that consecutively? He replies that he just needs to be calm while doing it, and Naeun replies, as if it's that easy. She then questions why is his win rate only at 50% when he is this good at this game. And he replies, because he don't like to relate to wins or losses using ranks, while the truth being that he lost because of random stats. Naeun calls it amazing, as she couldn't even sleep if she lost a ranked battle on that day. Hajin then starts to leave, telling her to stop here for today, and she tells him that she will see him tomorrow. Hajin thinks that he is acting as if they promised to meet tomorrow. But seeing her excited face, he also smiles and tells her that he will see him tomorrow. As he takes off the gaming device, he thinks that this has also become a part of his daily life. And that the person is actually pretty polite. He thought he was weird when he suddenly picked a fight with him at first. Though he still don't know how he is supposed to read his nickname, and he is simply calling him by "hey" for now. Hajin tries to think how his nickname is supposed to be said. He arrives at the word Naeun and quickly disperses the thought, calling it far-fetched. As based on his temper and how he talks, Naeun definitely seems like a guy to Hajin. We then see Naeun asking Suho if he thinks that she has improved quite a lot, and he replies that her movements feels more natural now. She replies that she started playing a game and that it's been helping her quite a bit. From game, Suho asks if it's Gladiator of the Century, and she asks if he plays that as well. Suho says he doesn't, but did heard people saying that it's quite helpful. She continues on that it's not just the game, but she also met someone quite skilled there. He is skilled, has good personality, and he actually spars with her a lot as well. Since one have to try and win in ranked battles, everyone plays the game defensively, which makes the battles boring, but he is different. As he always charges forward, attacks that are fast like a raging storm, and each step he takes causes his opponent to be scared, which really helps her get good in close combat battles. Suho replies that he must be quite skilled if she thinks so, and he might even be an active hero. Naeun replies he isn't, as she asked him. Suddenly, Hajin arrives and calls for Suho as Naeun turns back hearing him and blushes slightly. Upon noticing Naeun, he asks what were they two doing. Suho tries to reveal that Naeun is training with someone, but she hits him on the back and corrects him that she just met someone coincidentally while training. Suho is a bit confused as Naeun gives him the eye. Hajin tells Suho to let's get going and says goodbye to Naeun as well. As Suho starts to leave, Naeun asks them, where are they going, and Suho replies, they got something planned, and tells her to not overwork herself. As such, she also says, see you later. Hajin also wishes her good luck on her training, which she is a bit surprised by, and she says same to him. Seeing them together like this, she wonders, when did they got so close? She remembers when Sulo told her that they were talking about her, as she wonders if it's about her, though she tries to dismiss it, as how could that be when he doesn't even want to be friends, so she decides to simply ignore them. Which she clearly cannot, and hence, she tries to follow them. She tries to hear what are they saying, and gets close. She overhears Hajin asking, how is Naeun recently? Which causes her to blush heavily and freak out, thinking, what did he just say? Fast forward and we see a shop called 24 Hours Grandma's Rice Soup. Both Suho and Hajin seems to be eating there, as Hajin asks Suho that the dungeon is somewhere in Suwon, isn't it? He replies, it is, and they need to be careful. As Suwon is the most dangerous place in the metropolitan areas, that's because when the outcall is active, the terrain goes through drastic transformations, and more than half of its area becomes dangerous to travel in. And so, normal people are prohibited from entering the western side of Suwon, and Gamak Mountain is right around that border. And while Hajin is the one who designed this world, there are a lot of undiscovered hidden pieces. Among those, there are a couple that he wouldn't even dream of trying to get on his own, but if left alone, a few of those will fall into the hands of the main villains in the story. However, it's a different story if he go with Kim Suho, whose skills are above those of an intermediate grade hero, as they might be able to find those hidden places faster than the villains. And when he thinks of this while looking at Suho, he suddenly starts to look adorable. He thinks that Suho will probably take care of the equipment and rations. There is more to prepare than he had imagined. Suddenly, we see someone dressed in a high coat enters the shop with their face covered as well. Hajin looks over and wonders who is that criminal-looking person. And as that person notices Hajin, they freak out, and they go on the reception and tells them that they were the one who talked on the phone, and the shopkeeper tells them to wait a moment. We see it's Yoon-ha who starts to get embarrassed, and Hajin realizes it's her as well and smirks. He speaks out loudly, asking, who do we have here, and if isn't that Yoon-ha, which causes her to get nervous. Hajin remembers that Yoonha loves commoner food, and with a fake voice, she tries to deny it's her, but Suho, upon hearing her, recognizes her totally, as he is completely oblivious to the situation. Yoonha's favorites are hamburgers. Hajin invites her to eat with them, but she once again tries to deny, saying that they got the wrong person, but Suho also tells her to join them. She keeps trying to deny and gets teary and really embarrassed. As the shopkeeper comes with her order, she quickly runs away, while shouting that she doesn't know who Yoonha is, as the shopkeeper tells her that she hasn't paid yet. Hajin tells the shopkeeper that he will pay for her portion as well. And after this incident, Yoonha avoided Hajin for 3 whole days. Fast forward, it finally gets Friday, as Hajin arrives at the location. He meets up with Suho, and asks him where are they going, and he just tells him to follow him. Fast forward, and they have reached and are climbing the mountains. On the way up, Hajin wonders, how long have they been walking for now? And Gamak Mountain is a dangerous place since it's near the borders of the Forbidden Zone. He needs to watch his surroundings until they arrive at the dungeon. They finally arrive at the location, as Suho shows him the entrance, while saying that they are here. Hajin peeks inside while saying that this place is truly something that would be hard to find even if someone knew the location of it. Suho agrees and tells him that the passageway is quite narrow. So once they are inside, it would be hard for them to run away. Would he be all right with that? Hajin smiles and replies, of course. He takes out his golden weapon and shows it to Suho, while saying that it's pretty strong. Hajin has also used his SP to make some light bullets just in case something goes wrong. But since the boss monster is an upper intermediate grade monster, light bullets can only buy them some time. But he is sure that Suho will take care of the rest, as he asks him, should they get going. Before heading inside, Hajin gives Suho his hand and tells him to grab on. Suho is confused as to why he has to grab his hands, and Hajin says that it's dark inside, so he should grab on and follow him. Because if they use torchlight recklessly, they might aggro spirit monsters. And with that they both enter the dungeon. Inside we see Hajin leading Suho while holding his hand. Looking around, Suho notes that this place is massive despite the narrow entrance. And it's also pretty spooky in here, which Hajin agrees with. Suddenly, Hajin notices something and tells Suho to hold on. Hajin is surprised seeing that there is another passageway on the other side. As they came in from the east, despite that, there is another entrance, which should not be the case with this dungeon. He uses his 1,000-mile eyes and looks ahead and sees another group of people. He is quite shocked knowing that there is someone coming from the other side as well. Suho asks Hajin what is wrong and he tells him to be quiet for a second. He tries to hear their conversation, as they are wondering where are they, and one of them says that it's probably a hidden stage of the dungeon. Hajin doesn't recognize them, but from the energy they are giving off he assumes that they are villains. Suddenly his smartwatch gives him a message, which he expected as well. The message says that the size of Gamak Mountain is too small for the rewards that would be given. As such, the Gamak Mountain dungeon will be linked with Suan's Den of Devils, which is nearby, to become a hidden stage. Which would mean that Suan's Den of Devils, which is a completely separate dungeon, will be connected to this place, the Gamak Mountain dungeon. He asks Suho for the date, and he replies, it's the 14th of August. Hajin realizes the problem, as today is the day that a guild made of demonic humans, the Masked Demon's Master, raids Suan's Den of Devils. And in that case, the people coming must be demonic humans from the Masked Demon's Master, and seeing as how there is only 2 of them, they are probably here for reconnaissance. Hajin gets frustrated, as it had to happen today of all days, and Suho asks him if something happened. He informs him that there are people on the other side, and Suho gets surprised hearing that. The Masked Demon's Master is one of the stronger demonic human organizations around. Every one of the alternate identities that they use are at least intermediate grade heroes or above. And taking them down right now won't be easy, even for Suho. As such, Hajin wonders what should they do. Suddenly, he hears them talking again, as the bald guy tells the blondie to return to the main squad first, as it would be a pain in the ass if someone accused them of stealing something. The blondie agrees to do that as well, and they start to return to their main squad. As they leave, Hajin notes that they have to clear the boss while they are gone, and decides to use the mana of his stigma on his far sight to find the location of the boss. He informs Suho that after going straight and turning right twice, they would see a room. That is where the boss will be, and they should end it quickly as possible. Now, on the other side of Suan's Den of Devils, we see a bunch of people waiting around. The Masked Demon's Master Guild leader, Kim Jin-kyung, asks James and Jo-hong if they discovered anything. They reply that they have found a hidden path, and they think it's a hidden stage. Knowing this, Jin-kyung gives off an evil smile, as they inform him that they will go together after they return to the main squad. But he tells them to not do that, as they would head over to them instead, and they should continue their reconnaissance. He informs rest of his squad to get up, as the 2 members that went out a moment ago have discovered a hidden stage. One of them asks what about the reconnaissance team, and Jin-kyung replies that they will be joining them. The guy smiles hearing that, and states that it means there are 2 less people here. He touches his earpiece, and one of the blondie notices him. The blondie asks Colleen, why is he waiting around, but much to Jin-kyung's shock, we see him open some kind of portal. He asks him, what is he doing right now, as no one asked him to open up an artificial portal. He doesn't say anything while thinking that it's not a portal, but a phase shift, which connects nearby spaces, which he finds too troublesome to explain. Jin-kyung gets angry, and asks Colleen, did he not hear the order to close the portal? Colleen simply smirks, and Jin-kyung gets pissed seeing him like this. He moves towards him in anger, asking, what trick is he trying to pull right now? Suddenly he waves his finger, and we see everyone get stunned along with Jin-kyung. As from the portal, we see a beam of energy comes and pierces Jin-kyung right through his head. It then completely splits him in half, as everyone watches, being too stunned to do anything. Suddenly, the shock hits them, as they start to feel the fear. As they shout, what the hell did he do, while we see a hand coming out of the phase shift. And it turns out to be the captain of the chameleon troop. Captain starts releasing a dark miasma which surrounds everyone, and we see them starting to get dizzy. All of them then falls on the ground, unconscious. The captain says that she will let them live for now, for the sake of the stock, which Colleen agrees with. He asks her if they should go look at the hidden stage now, but she orders him to be on standby, which confuses him. He asks her if some unexpected variable appeared. And she replies, there are 2 people in the hidden stage right now. And they are both candidates. Colleen realizes that it's a test for them to see if they are worthy of joining the chameleon troop. We then see Captain transforming in some kind of purple liquid and heading to where they are. We then switch scenes and see some monsters, Gaul, who are lower intermediate rank 9, undead monsters. One of them gets shot right on the face by Hajin. He then quickly takes care of the Gauls right behind Suho as well. Suho is quite impressed, thinking that they were in a situation where they couldn't see anything due to the darkness. But Hajin still managed to strike all of them in their vital points in an instant. He tells Hajin that he is really incredible, and Hajin tells him to not give him that. He tells Suho to get moving as they don't have much time, which he agrees with. On the way, they once again encounter a bunch of Gauls, and they both takes care of them easily. Hajin thinks that there are monsters waiting around every corner, but they are all low-rank monsters, so they should be able to get through the cave without any issues. He also remembers that it's about time for that thing to appear, as just then Suho calls out to Hajin, informing him that something is written there, hearing which Hajin smiles, thinking that they found it. As he arrives at the wall, Suho shows him the writings written on the wall. Suho wonders if the smartwatch can translate it, and Hajin gives it a try. Upon scanning the writing, it gives them a riddle. This and that are always together. If they observe the area, this and that can be felt almost at the same time. However, if they observe from afar, this is nearer than that. What is this? Suho notes that it's a riddle, and that he heard things like that appears in dungeons occasionally. Hajin remembers that Suho in the novel was unable to solve this riddle. However, he asks Yoon-ha for help, and Yoon-ha asked the Intelligence Guild for help and then gave him the answer after they solved it within 5 minutes. But since they are pressed for time right now, Hajin gives the answer himself, which is lightning. Upon saying that, the wall starts to shine blue. And Suho notes that the writing has disappeared. The whole area then starts to tremble and we see the wall breaking apart to open. And as it opens up fully, it reveals a complete hidden pathway. Suho asks if the answer was lightning and Hajin replies, it was, while remembering that this riddle was something that he made up after randomly seeing it elsewhere. In this riddle, this is lightning and that is thunder. Lightning and thunder are always together. However, since sound is slower than light, thunder can be thought of as slower than lightning depending on how far away we are from it. That means thunder is heard after lightning strikes first. Suho gets excited and praises Hajin for solving it really quickly and calls him a genius, while Hajin thinks the opposite. Hajin tells him that he would tell him how he figured it out, but they should clear the dungeon first, and Suho agrees with him. And from above, we see the captain was observing them, thinking that Hajin is indeed on a different level than the normal cadets. He got good judgment, quick thinking, and bold, on top of all that, an exceptional mind. Even though this is a just hidden stage, he managed to make it here by his own strength in just 10 minutes. She then smiles saying that it's good enough, and she would recruit Kim Hajin into the chameleon troop. But there is still something that is bothering her in recruiting Hajin. It's whether Hajin can really kill a person without any hesitation. She suddenly hears the 2 remaining group members coming, who are circling around the dungeon. Looking at them, she wonders if Hajin is aware that those 2 people are actually jinns. As such, she smiles thinking to test him out with those 2. As Hajin and Suho arrives in the hidden passage, we see many skeletons lying around there. We also see a undead sitting on a throne, seeing whom, Hajin thinks that this monster must be the master of this dungeon, the Chaos Knight. Sensing their presence, the Chaos Knight wakes up. He immediately notices Suho and gets close to him without him being able to react, and the Chaos Knight calls him an interesting fellow. Suho finally reacts, noting that he needs to counter as he grabs his sword to attack. Hajin shouts his name out loud and tells him to focus, as we see the Chaos Knight actually hasn't moved from his throne. Suho thinks that he was pretty sure the Chaos Knight got close up to him, wondering if he used teleportation. But he grips his sword tightly upon realizing that it's actually his momentum, as the Chaos Knight smiles upon him. And judging by his ability to communicate, he assumes that he must be above average tier monster, and unlike the ones so far. We see Suho's feet gripping and him hesitating. But the Chaos Knight takes out his sword and slams it in front of himself, asking Suho if he is afraid, but he shouldn't worry, as he plans to kill them quickly. They both notice him take out his sword, as Hajin tries to motivate Suho but notices something. He notes that Suho gained confidence upon realizing that his opponent is a swordsman. As his expertise relies on swordplay, no one can stand against him in terms of swords. And Suho thinks that if his opponent is a swordplay, there is no reason for him to lose. Hajin informs him that he thinks his vessel is his sword, the voices they heard a while ago came from the sword, his body is just a corpse. The Chaos Knight smiles, and Hajin thinks that Suho managed to get this information after fighting it in the novel, but they get no time to lose right now. He tells Suho to not aim for his body, and aim for his sword, and he will be assisting him. Suho replies that he would trust him, and just then we see the Chaos Knight is already behind him and about to attack. Noticing the ambush, Hajin calls out to Suho and we see the attack causes a huge amount of debris and smoke to rise up. Hajin is unable to see anything due to the smoke. But as it clears up, we see Suho has blocked the Chaos Knight's surprise attack. As they both clash, their attacks push either of them back. Suho once again rushes in to attack him and the Chaos Knight comments, "Not bad." Suho jumps over him for an overhead strike and we see their clash causing an explosion of debris. As the smoke clears, the Chaos Knight doesn't see Suho but just his sword and broken ground. In shock, as he is wondering where he went, we see Suho is right above him. As the Chaos Knight notices him, but it's already too late, as Suho has jumped towards him to attack. Suho focuses on Chaos Knight's sword, with the only goal to destroy it at all costs. But as his attack lands, both Hajin and Suho are left shocked. We see Suho's sword is stuck in something, as the Chaos Knight smiles and calls Suho strong. We see his sword has been blocked by the Chaos Knight's arm, and he tells Suho that he would be taking his body. Suho is unable to pull out his sword, and the Chaos Knight makes use of this opportunity to stab him with his sword with his other hand. But Hajin shouts at Suho to dodge and fires a shot right on the Chaos Knight's sword, and Suho is able to get free from his clutches and thanks Hajin. Hajin tells Suho that the Chaos Knight knew that they were after his original body from the start, and that he intentionally baited them to attack, which he calls a petty trick. Suho closes his eyes and takes a breath. He then smiles and says, they just need to fight carefully with that new information in mind. The Chaos Knight smiles hearing all this and Suho seems concerned and confused by it. The Chaos Knight thinks back to the moment Suho used such explosive power that blew of his arm, which was quite shocking to him. He starts laughing out loud while saying that it's been such a long time, but a body that is worth taking over has finally appeared. With his hand fully regenerated, Suho is quite surprised seeing it and Hajin tells him that it's useless to damage his human form as he told him that his original body is the sword. Meaning his human body will be gone after they destroy his sword, hearing which Suho rushes in for round 2. Both of their swords once again collides, creating sparks. with Hajin noting that the pressure their swords are making is quite incredible. He notes that Suho will do well probably, even alone, but it won't benefit them if they drag this fight out any longer. He cannot use shotgun in this scenario as it might hit Suho as well, and it's pointless to use sniper rifle at this range. Which means he can only use his pistol for now. As their clash continues, the Chaos Knight's sword starts to show cracks. Seeing which he is quite shocked as he is getting pushed back by Suho, noting that a normal sword should have been broken by now, but Suho's sword doesn't even have a scratch on it. It makes him wonder if it's due to the golden-colored mana of Suho. He gets angered from getting backed into a corner and as he pushes Suho's sword away, while telling him to not be insolent. Suho backs off a bit, he seems tired with his hand trembling. But he gives off a confident smile and the Chaos Knight attacks him again. Suho thinks that the more he fight against him, the more certain he becomes that he will be the winner in their fight. As after all he has a reliable ally on his side, and we see Hajin shooting at the Chaos Knight's arm right as their swords were about to clash. Hajin thinks that keeping the Chaos Knight from moving even for an instant is more than enough. And although the swordsman is stronger in the novel, Suho is the one with the upper hand here. And we finally see Suho cutting off the Chaos Knight's arm. He then quickly jumps up in the air and destroys his sword as well. And with his sword finally destroyed, his body starts disintegrating as well, with the Chaos Knight calling it impossible as his last words. Hajin smiles thinking that Suho did it, and that now they just need to get the reward for clearing this stage. As Suho notes something on the ground, he is left speechless, and Hajin asks him, "What's wrong?" We see there is a branch on spot where the Chaos Knight died, as Suho looks around trying to find the actual rewards, while wondering, what the hell is this branch? He starts crying thinking that the clear reward is just a single branch. Hajin asks if this is the reason that he is so depressed. And right when he is about to reveal about the branch to him, we see the two remaining members from the group arrives, asking, who is there? Hajin quickly turns back and realizes from the voice that it's those two demonic humans from before. Hajin wonders if they don't need to go back to their squad, and they tell Hajin and Suho to answer their question. The Baldai asks them, how the hell did they got in here, but the blondie stops him. He tells Hajin and Suho that their guild, Masked Demon's Masters, has already put in a request to raid this dungeon. As such, he asks for their identity. Hajin replies that they had no idea, and that they are cube cadets, and they just came in because they saw a path that led to this area. They ask them, what did they do in here? And Hajin replies, there was a monster here, so they killed it. Blondie asks about the reward and Hajin replies, they didn't got anything. He contacts his guild leader, saying that they got a situation here and have found two cube cadets. And from the phone, their leader orders them to kill them. James tells Suho and Hajin to blame themselves for their demise as he starts preparing for attack. He attacks them with some kind of red energy, which they both dodges. They both start to get separated by the red energy as they wonder what is going on. Hajin notes that it's a barrier which isolates people, and there is no way for him to see what is happening outside of the barrier. He wonders if Suho would be alright on his own. Meanwhile we see it's Johong going up against Hajin, who says that James always gives him the boring ones. From the golden axe on his clothes, Hajin notes that he is an active hero. Upon recognizing him as an intermediate grade hero, he asks why are they going so far to deal with mere cadets like them. Johong starts charging his attack while saying, if there is a need to answer his question, since he would be dying here anyways. Hajin notes that he boasts an incredible amount of mana, and the difference between their stats is too large, and it would be a piece of cake for him to cut off his head. But even so, Hajin doesn't find the situation to be completely hopeless. Johong sees Hajin pulling something out of his back. Not taking any chances, Johong gets on guard to defend against whatever Hajin is planning. But much to his confusion and shock, Hajin pulls out a piece of rock. He bursts out laughing seeing it, asking if rock was the only thing that he could think of to resolve his situation. Hajin replies that this would be more than enough to deal with someone like him. Hearing his taunt, Johong gets angry. He notes that Hajin's mana is basically trash, which gets him wondering, why is he so confident? Johong tells Hajin that seems like he is scared out of his wits, as Hajin throws the rock towards him, which he easily dodges. But he notices a thread going behind him which was attached to the rock. Hajin grabs and pulls the thread quickly, as Johong turns around, which causes the rock to hit directly on Johong's head. And he then finally falls on the ground, unconscious. Hajin finally breathes relief, while saying that it only worked because he let his guard down, and notes that ether can be used this way as well. He then goes over and pulls out his weapon and aims right at his head. While thinking that he need to hurry up since demonic humans recover quickly, though using a shotgun would be best, but he doesn't have much mana left to do so. As he pulls the trigger and shoots him, he gets shocked, as the bullet only makes a slight dent on his head. And Johong wakes back up again, giving him a side eye. Hajin gets ready to shoot again, realizing that the shotgun was indeed needed. Johong lets out a loud shout which sends Hajin flying into the wall behind. He starts to cough blood, while commenting that it hurts so much, but he was able to use ether on time to defend himself. He is shocked upon noting that even his voice alone is this powerful. The angry Johong starts to transform, while telling Hajin that he has been acting way too cheeky, and that he didn't wanted to use this transformation on a mere brat like him. And Hajin is scared, thinking that he should have ended things before it came to this. The special ability that demonic humans have, demonification. Now we switch scenes to Suho and James. Suho tries to call out to Hajin, but gets no response, and he realizes that he cannot hear anything and is isolated. Suho notes that there is no way to escape, and the enemy is also approaching him with murderous intent. And he got no choice but to fight. Suho asks James, why are they doing this? But James tells him to consider themselves unlucky. Upon looking closely, James notes that Suho's face looks familiar. He remembers Suho as the first ranker among Cube cadets, noting that he might have been a useful asset if they managed to recruit him, though it's a shame. We then see James almost instantly appearing right in front of Suho, without him being able to react. As James tries to cut him, Suho dodges barely, but gets injured regardless. He then plants his hand on the ground and tries to kick, but James vanishes. Suho looks back and finds James, wondering, when did he even got there? He also realizes that he have been hit on his leg in that short period when he tried to kick. Suho notes that he is quite fast, and wonders if he would be able to match his speed. He decides to give it a try and focuses, and tries to read his moves. James once again rushes towards him at high speeds, and Suho barely blocks his attack. Despite blocking, he notes that he is barely able to react to his attacks, and that he needs to somehow lure him into getting closer. He dodges one of the attacks by inches on his face, which gets James irritated, as suddenly he notices something. He sees Suho's sword coming right for him, which he tries to dodge, but still gets injured on his leg. Suho notes that he didn't came closer to him, and he is a lot weaker than Chaos Knight as well, but he is unable to find the right timing to counter his attacks. Suho wonders what Hajin would have done here, but realizes that there is no need for him to think about that right now, because this is his fight. Suho regrets boasting about fighting alone, as his skills were this lacking and his talent lies in wielding his sword to protect the world. And as long as his opponent is a swordsman, there is always a way to win. And his only option is to try his best to defeat the opponent in front of him. Suho then starts to release a huge amount of mana, seeing which James is left stunned at its amount. He thought that he was just a kid even though he is ranked first among the disciples of the cube, but seeing this, James realizes that he should not waste any time. And such, he will end it with his next attack, and Suho prepares to strike as well. Suddenly, Suho feels something and he notes that it's not coming from his opponent. He remembers that this was the feeling he got when he first encountered this dungeon. It's almost as if he is being called by the dungeon itself, and behind him we see the branch glowing golden. Now back to Hajin, who is lying on the ground completely unable to move. Johong tells him that he will make sure that Hajin never sees the light of day ever again. Hajin is scared and nervous, thinking that it's over, as it's not an opponent he can defeat. As Johong attacks him, Hajin closes his eyes and accepts his fate, thinking that it's his end. But as he opens his eyes again, he sees a sharp spike with blood dropping from its front as it has pierced through Johong. As the spike is pulled out from Johong, we see a figure appear in front of Hajin. And it's none other than our mommy waifu, seeing whom Hajin wonders, what is the captain doing here? Hajin grunts in pain, thinking that the timing isn't good, as he is not sure if he could handle if they attacked him right now. There is a scenario where the chameleon troop is connected to the masked demon, but Hajin still wonders, why do they keep appearing in front of him? As they both come face to face of each other, she starts moving her hand towards Hajin, while he seems nervous. She greets him by saying that it's nice to meet him, which leaves Hajin speechless. He chuckles, saying that they seem to see each other quite often, and she replies, of course, while revealing that she has been keeping watch on him. He is a bit surprised and confused, and asks her, what does she mean by that? Meanwhile, Johong gets up and attacks her from behind, and Hajin warns her that it's dangerous. But she easily kills him without even looking back, shocking Hajin. As he thinks that she is so powerful, she tells him that there is something she wants to talk about to him, and Hajin stutters while repeating the same. She gets close to him and tells him something, which we are unable to hear. As Hajin is wondering, what does it mean, he suddenly remembers this part as well. It was Shin Jong-hak's story's crucial event, but since it happened to him, he wonders if it changed because of his actions, and if it's like that, what would happen to the original story? As he is trying to ask her something, she tells him that their time is up, as we see the barrier breaking. As she is leaving, she smiles and tells him that she hopes he thinks about it well. She then transforms into some kind of purple liquid and leaves. And after the barrier breaks, we see Suho calling out to Hajin and comes running towards him, asking if he is hurt badly. Hajin replies that it's nothing and asks if he beat James, and Suho replies, for now he did. He grabs and lifts Hajin, asking if he is okay, and he replies that he would be fine after resting for a few days. Suho asks, what should they do about James? And Hajin looks over and thinks, since his body is still there, which means that he has simply fainted. Suho says that they would need to report this to the association, which surprises Hajin. Hajin tells him that there is no proof, and since they have entered He dungeon without reporting it, they would be punished as well. Meanwhile, Hajin thinks that he has put all of his savings into the Masked Demon's master's shares. It would be bad if they got exposed for being demonic humans, and it's a good thing that Suho hasn't figured it out either, and hearing his explanation, Suho says that it does make sense. He asks Hajin what happened to the person he was fighting. Hajin, remembering Captain, tells Suho that she ran away. Now it gets night and they finally get out of the dungeon. Hajin is quite tired while noting that using his stigma magic power even once has a huge recoil, and Suho calls out to him and shows him the branch while saying that he thinks it's not an ordinary stick. Hajin notes that Suho didn't forget about it and actually brought it with him. Suho tells him that while he cannot put it in words, he felt like it was calling him when he was fighting. But he tries to quickly dismiss while apologizing for saying such nonsense as Hajin might not understand, but Hajin replies that he does. As he had a feeling that this would be a great item just by looking at it, Suho asks, how? Hajin knows that it's an ordinary item that is hard to think of as a dungeon reward, but it's the most special stick that can be recognized if you know the myths and numerous stories about it. He asks Suho if he has heard about Mistiltine. In Northern European mythology, it's known as a legendary weapon which was connected to the murder of Balder, the god of light, and it was deemed the Godslayer stick. Hearing which, Suho is left shocked as well. Hajin continues, a divine weapon needs to be awakened in order to change into its true form. Which makes Suho realize that it's not its complete form, and says that he knew it, as it looked too shabby for a dungeon reward, and Hajin remarks how disappointed Suho was before due to it. Though despite this, he still fought against a demonic human alone and won, because Mistiltine is that powerful of a weapon, and Suho tells him that he have to find out how to awaken it. But about that, Hajin tells him to put the stick in front of him. He then sees Hajin pulls out the sapling powder, seeing which he is left shocked and asks Hajin, what is that? Hajin replies that it's an artifact, which he thinks will help them awaken Mistiltine. Suho asks, where did he got that from, as he can tell from a glance that it's precious. Hajin remembers that according to the original novel, the sapling powder is Suho's, but he has worked hard for it, so he should show it off a little. As such, he wonders what should he say so that Suho feels a little more thankful. And so, he tells Suho that it's his parents' relic, which completely terrifies and shocks him. Seeing his reaction, Hajin is also left speechless, wondering if he can't even tell a joke. As Suho gets teary hearing that from Hajin, Hajin quickly tells him that he was simply joking, as he was simply saying that it was important to him, while realizing that he overdid a little by calling it a relic. He explains that this powder accelerates potential to their peak, and applies to both people and items. In short, if he were to sprinkle it on Mistiltine, there will be a change, as we see it starts to release a golden aura. Right as Hajin was about to sprinkle some on it, Suho quickly grabs his hand and stops him. He once again asks Hajin if it's really okay as the powder is important to him. Hajin sighs and replies that it's important, which is why he should use it at times like this. Since when other time would they be able to obtain mythical item like this, but despite this Suho still hesitates. Seeing which, Hajin tells him with a bit of force that he should accept it while he is offering, and Suho finally agrees while thanking him. As he sprinkles it on the mistletoe, it starts to glow blue. And seeing its transformation, both Suho and Hajin are quite fascinated. And we see the mistletoe shining and has grown some leaves on it. With this, Hajin notes that the first awakening has been completed, and in order for Suho to grow and be able to destroy their enemies, it will naturally change into the shape of a sword. As Hajin starts to stand up, he picks up one of the leaves as he promised. That since if he takes the stick, he would take the one leaf from it. Now as they are walking back, Suho asks if it's really okay for him to take the leaf, but Hajin replies that it's fine, and Suho is still not convinced. Hajin once again tells him that it's alright, as he wouldn't need something like a stick since he doesn't want to die in close combat. Suho still doesn't agree with it, but for Hajin, he thinks that it's enough for him right now. With a mistletoe's leaf can help one's body become stronger if they boil it and drink, and they can also grind it and make it an incredible weapon. Seeing which, Hajin notes that it's not a byproduct of a legendary item for nothing, and he is quite happy with this reward. Right as he was thinking how he should use it, he trips on something. It hurts him a bit, and wonders why is there a tree root here, but suddenly realizes something. He remembers this exact thing happening to him before as well. Suho then calls out to him, asking if something happened, and he replies it's nothing. Meanwhile we see Hajin humming and see he has a ginseng root in his backpack. Now back at the dungeon, we see Jane and Captain, as Jane calls it quite nice upon seeing Hajin fight. She notes that even if one put all of their power into it, it's still not easy to have such force with a whip. And something she likes even more is his cold-hearted decision-making. She thinks that even though the current Hajin didn't knew his opponent was a demonic human, he still tried to kill them without any hesitation. As such, she agrees with the captain that she was right, and Hajin indeed have potential. She tells Jane it's enough, but she asks the captain where is she going, and if she is not going to watch it until the end, since Jane wanted to see the demonization as well. But Captain replies that she doesn't want to see that, and Jane asks her, why is that? And she simply replies that it's gross. Now back at this dorm, we see Hajin is incredibly tired from his trip. His legs start to tremble, as his whole body hurts, why he feels as if he is going to die. Evangel wakes up and Hajin picks her back up and apologizes for disturbing her sleep and puts her back. As he goes to put her down to bed, he sees the moon and remembers something. At the Suan station, we hear Suho telling Hajin to go back first. Hajin asks, what would he do, and Suho replies that since he is here, he is going to meet his family. Suho then gives Hajin a heartfelt thank you. And Hajin feels quite good and warm after hearing it. Kim Suho, who is the protagonist of this world, he doesn't compromise on anything, and don't let himself burn out. He is simply a hero of justice who steadily walks on the righteous path. In the real world, it's not possible to find someone like him. Yet, Hajin drew him with the feeling of wanting a person like him to exist somewhere in real. Suho, which means protect, is the true savior of this world. Back to the present, Hajin goes quiet and Suho asks him if something is wrong, and he replies while smiling that it's nothing. He tells Suho to take care, while thinking that he is someone whom he can trust more than anyone in this world. The Hero Association calls the 9 demonic humans that stands at the top of the demonic human society, the 9 evils. The nickname is supposed to be interpreted as the nice sources of evil, a number of destruction, but the 9 evils actually considered the nickname a compliment and accepted it. The third devil. Defiance had created a top-secret sanctuary by remodeling a cave deep in the mountains of South Hamging. And now at Defiance's sanctuary, we see someone seeing Toma and wondering what happened to her, as she is suddenly in the office, since she is usually not the one to show interest in the missions. They all call her weird, and wonder if she is even demonic human. Suddenly as some guy comes and walks past by them, they get scared and quiet, and he calls out to Toma, who sighs upon hearing him call her. She stands up while being annoyed, but gets surprised as the guy offers her a file. He tells him that while he knows her skills are elite, he cannot have her complaining just because the mission is too small, which she realizes as well. While taking the file, she asks him, what is the mission this time around? But the guy tells him to take a look, but Toma complains that it would be better if he gave her more details. Seeing the mission, she is a bit surprised, and the guy confirms that it's a surveillance operation on Rachel at that. Now we switch scenes to Hajin again, who seems to be chilling in a lounge, and someone calls out his name. It's some blondie who asks Hajin if he made an appointment for the magic aspect engraving, which Hajin confirms. The guy greets him and introduces himself as a 4-star mage, named Jin. Hajin realizes that he is the person in charge of today's aspect and tells him that he would be counting on him. Hajin notes that he got super lucky, as a 4-star mage with major in artifacts is a highest rank that a normal person can meet. Meanwhile, Jane observes Hajin and gets a change of attitude suddenly, with Hajin realizing that he literally just scanned what he was wearing today. Hajin notes that mages are so materialistic. He actually dressed himself up because he knew that, though now he wonders if he should have dressed up even more. Back at his office, Jin asks Hajin what kind of aspect would he like to engrave. And Hajin replies that he is looking for something physical strengthening or something with defense magic. Jin casually snaps his finger and shows him a bunch while saying that these should meet his requirements. He then asks Hajin if there is any he likes from this. Hajin thinks that people usually engrave magic aspects that consume very little mana into their artifact. It's because, even if one has a lot of mana inherently, there is a limit to how much they can use, but Obsidian Bracelet doesn't have that kind of restrictions. So what he needs is a magic aspect that uses so much mana that he can only use it once a week, but that also has an incredible function. But as Hajin looks at Jin, he gets annoyed by his attitude towards him. While knowing that he is looking down on him adroitly, realizing that his value is being determined from what he wore. Hajin wonders what should he do with him, as if he leaves him like that, there is a chance that he would engrave his aspect half-heartedly. As so, Hajin begins acting with more attitude, saying that he doesn't want something as trivial as this, and asks if he doesn't have any aspects that needs more mana to activate. As he is looking for something like enhanced protection or instant awakening, Jin tries to shrug it off by rudely claiming that it's possible. But Hajin interrupts, asking if it's too much to do for something like a 4-star mage. Seeing his demeanor change like that confuses Jin, and Hajin starts to get up saying that it's fine, as he came here in rush, but Jin quickly changes his attitude and tells him to wait, as it's not the case. Hajin asks if it's truly not, and Jin replies that they weren't able to provide much information right now, while wondering if Hajin is actually a rich kid. He tells Hajin that such aspects are possible, but he was worried that it would be too expensive, and Hajin gives out an annoying expression. Seeing which, Jane adds that it's the case for normal customers, and asks Hajin if he has a certain budget in mind. Hajin gets close to Jin and tells his budget in his ear, hearing which Jin freaks out and gets excited. He quickly shows Hajin complete list, and shows him his best aspects while telling his servant to get them some new tea. Now back to classroom, Hajin is quite happy thinking that they cleared the Gamak Mountain dungeon, and Kim Suho also acquired Mistiltine safely. He is also done with his magic aspect engraving request, and so he thanks Suho and his stocks. And while he didn't want it to flex like that, he had no other choice, and for him, it seems everything is going smoothly so far. Now as the instructor walks in and asks for everyone's attention and announces that starting from today, they all will be forming group and work as a team. Hajin also remembers this event. Team play, in other words it is to work as a group, mini-tower raids, skirmishes, and team bonding activities like traveling together. The instructor tells everyone to form their team with people they want, and submit the list by next Wednesday, which gets Hajin wondering what an outcast like him is supposed to do. And if they aren't in any team by next Wednesday, the instructor will choose their team for them, which Hajin doesn't really like the idea of. He then looks behind him and sees Rachel tapping on her table and sighing. Seeing her, he wonders if she is in the same situation as him, but the difference is that she chooses to be alone. And they being a team also sounds good to him, since he also has to give her butterfly sapling dust. Based on the original story, she should have gotten a hint in regards to her own enlightenment by now. If this delays any further, her stat difference compared to the original storyline will become too large. And in this case, Hajin prepares to send Rachel a message, asking her to team up with him. He looks back at her as she gets the message, and right as she opens it up to check it, someone calls her out, seeing whom surprises Hajin. And we see it's Toma, who asks Rachel to team up with her, which makes Hajin wonder why would she approach Rachel. As she asks Rachel for the team up, everyone comments that they both teaming up is kind of random. And Hajin gets worried thinking why did Toma made her move, and towards Rachel out of all the people. In the demonic human society, if Defiance, the mercenary starts to make a move, there is a high chance that it was ordered by someone behind the scenes. And for a huge target like Rachel, Hajin assumes can only be one person behind this. And that would be Rankster. Rachel tells Toma that she would think about it, since there is still time left for it. Toma smiles and replies, she can do as she wishes. She also remembers that she received a message just now. As she opens it up, she sees that it's from Hajin. Hajin looks towards him with nervousness, and Rachel also smiles while looking away from him, which Hajin notices and gets worried. He wonders if she is going to reject him, and he suddenly gets a message, which is from Rachel, as she tells him that she would think about it, and Hajin smiles seeing that. She smiles while deciding to wait and take it slow. Now we switch scenes to Naeun, who is scribbling on her notebook while being in deep thought. We see she is trying to think of team members, since people had yet to decide which cadets to choose that were below rank 100. She knows that there are bonus points for having a low-ranked cadet, but thinks there aren't many low-ranked cadets who are skilled enough. Though, she does realize that there is one. We then see one of the girls asking Hajin what is he doing after school and if he has joined a team. And another guy comes who offers Hajin some tickets to museum in hopes to get him into his team. Soon enough, he is surrounded by cadets asking him to be in his team, seeing which Naeun thinks that he is quite popular. She notes that Hajin would be a perfect teammate for anyone, as there is also a theory class for team play, and Hajin always get good results in it. She thinks that if she were to ask him to join her team, it would be pretty enough, though she is worried about one thing, which is, what if Hajin thinks that she is interested in him, thinking which she blushes. She claims that she really just want to team up, and suddenly Shin calls her from behind, asking if she is still thinking. But she tells him to mind his own business. Shin replies that they are all the same, so there is no need to think about it much, she should just choose anyone decent like him and help them improve from there. She holds her notebook while telling Shin that she got her own plans, so he should get lost. But Shin quickly grabs her notebook, while saying that he would see what those plans are. She quickly hurries to his desk as Shin opens it up, wondering who did she choose. She tries to get it back, but Shin holds it away from her as he is pronouncing the name written on it. But upon noticing and shouting Hajin's name, he is shocked, as Naeun gets insanely embarrassed and starts to fade away. Everyone looks towards Naeun, wondering if someone else also wants Hajin, and Naeun blushes hard as they notice that it's her. Shin asks her, what is this and when did she took notice of Hajin, and Naeun starts to get angry at him. She then punches him right in the gut while telling him to shut that mouth of his and grabs her notebook back. She then glances towards Hajin as he looks back as well. She quickly turns away as Hajin is confused at her behavior. After the class ends, we see Naeun tries to call out to Hajin. But as he is not hearing, she grabs his hand to make him wait, and he asks her, what's the matter? She hesitates a bit, but tells Hajin she doesn't know if he heard that just now. And right when she was about to ask him to join, Rachel comes and informs Hajin that she has submitted the list of team members. Hearing which, Naeun is confused, as she asks, what list? And Rachel tells her that Hajin has decided to team up with her. Hearing which, she is quite shocked as she looks towards Hajin for confirmation. And Hajin confirms it by saying that they are a team, which breaks Naeun down. She tries to then make up excuse that she thought he might not have anyone to team up with, so she was going to rescue him as a fellow travel club member. And tries to leave while giving him a shoulder pat and saying that she is glad he has a team and wishes him all the best. We see Naeun seems a bit sad as Rachel watches her go. While walking, Naeun thinks that Rachel also uses a sword like her, and her physical strength is also comparable to herself, and excluding theory classes, she also has similar results to her. She then blushes and gets emotional, while wondering why did Hajin choose Rachel instead of her. Now as Rachel and Hajin starts walking, Rachel suddenly stops and calls out Hajin in the middle. She concernedly asks if he is going to try and join another team. Hajin assumes that she is asking this due to what happened with Naeun just now and tells her he won't be doing that, and then someone waves and calls out to Hajin. It's Hosung, who has also joined his team, as he thanks him for it. As he was hoping to team up with Hajin as well, and Hajin replies that it's not a problem, while thinking that he is simply following Rachel himself. Hosung introduces the other guy, and suggests to get a meal together for team bonding, and Hajin is a bit worried since Toma is around as well, but assumes that it's going to be fine. Hajin looks towards Rachel for her opinion and she agrees for the meal as well. Hosung asks Rachel if there is anything in particular she would like to eat, and she replies that she is fine with anything. Hajin remembers that while she isn't picky about her food, if there is something she liked, that would be. And so Rachel suggests a Korean food restaurant, Hankijong. while excitedly claiming that she would like that, and Hosung agrees that it's quite good. Now back at Naeun's room, she confirms her team: 2 warriors, 1 shooter, 1 supporter, and 1 mage. As we see, she is talking to Hazuki, who calls their team an incredible combination since Naeun can be shooter or a warrior herself, which Naeun feels proud of. She then questions if Hajin is unable to join them, and Naeun replies that if she wanted him to join, then she would have been able to get him to join. And makes up excuse that if she does that, it would be such a pitiful waste, as apart from Rachel, their team doesn't have anyone else, though Hazuki says that it would have been good if Hajin joined them. Naeun tells her to stop thinking about them and proceeds to go and submit their team list, and Hazuki thanks her for that. Now as the call cuts, she falls on her bed, seemingly deep in thoughts and unable to fall asleep. She thinks that if she knew this would happen, she would have asked Hajin to join her from the start, and she wouldn't have to worry about the theory part then either. She realizes that she lost him to Rachel because she hesitated for no reason. And from this, she also remembers her loss from the midterms, and it happened again after she changed to using a sword in team. As such, she gets quite frustrated at all this, and thinks that at this rate, she would lose again. Now fast forward and we see Hajin and their team arriving in some kind of ice cave, which is their first lesson on working as a team, dungeon exploration. Normally, when a new dungeon has been discovered, the advance party will first head into the dungeon to explore it, and their objective today is to fulfill the duty of the advance party. Bokyu shimmers while saying that they have been walking for 20 minutes now, and Hosung asks Hajin if he doesn't feel cold, and just then, Rachel notices something and tells her team to look. And they note that there are 5 entrances, and wonders which one should they go in. Toma speaks up, saying there is no point in thinking about it, and chooses one, but Hajin refutes her decision. Toma asks him, how is he so sure about it, and Hajin replies that he got good eyes for details, so it's not the correct entrance. While thinking that her motives are quite clear, she is probably trying to lure them into a trap. Toma gets angry and tells Rachel to decide for them. And Rachel also agrees to go with Hajin's decision. Toma still sulks, saying that she felt like this one was the right entrance, which Hajin calls quite pathetic. Inside that path, Dai finds a snowman, as Hosung states that the path Hajin chose was the right one. And so, Hajin kept getting in Toma's way, while she desperately tried to get Rachel away from the group, which was quite commendable. But he couldn't just let her do what she wanted. Now at this point, Toma starts to get pissed, wondering if it's really that difficult to get even one person injured and have them retreat, and calls it all Hajin's fault. And now that it has come to this, she approaches Rachel and tries to ask her with a bit of force to come with her. Rachel asks her, what does she mean? And she replies that it's going to more efficient to split into 2 teams and explore, since she doesn't think it's too good to rely on just one person. As Rachel is trying to refuse, Hajin steps in, telling Toma that they don't have time to waste. He then grabs Rachel's hands and takes her with him, while Toma asks, why is he acting so confident in here? But Hajin has activated his far sight and pinpointed the location. Rachel looks at Hajin in surprise, while he leads her to the goal. They soon enough arrive, as his team notes that the path is the clear one upon noticing the instructor. Upon reaching, Rachel tells Hajin about her hand, and he suddenly realizes. He quickly lets go of it and apologizes to her, while she blushes and replies that there is no need to be sorry for it. They then submit their report to the instructor, as he nods at their report, and calls it perfect, and his team gets happy and celebrates. They all surround Hajin, while claiming that they just need to count on him from now on. While Toma is standing behind them, quite furious. We go back to a bit when Toma was receiving the mission from her apparent superior. He gives her the objective to injure and weaken Rachel, and even the Cube executives that infiltrated Jack have promised to assist them, so it won't be a difficult job. And once she removes Rachel from her daily routine for a moment, their dispatched agents will take care of the rest. He then asks if he can count on her for this. And Toma confidently replies that it's simple enough, as they are just kids after all. Back to the present, Toma is incredibly tired, while saying, simple my ass. She then gets a notification, asking why the mission was delayed, and if there is something unexpected happen. She gets pissed seeing that, as there hasn't been that long since the mission started, yet they are rushing her. She puts her head down in defeat, while thinking that something unexpected did indeed happen. As every time she tried to do something, Hajin appeared and stopped her, and he stuck on to Rachel like a gum. He was constantly around her during the class and even after the class ends, which gets her wondering, How could a rank 334 act so arrogantly, since she doesn't notice anything great about him? She jokingly thinks that perhaps Hajin thinks that those with courage obtain beautiful women and laughs about it. But suddenly, she gets a thought that what if Hajin actually likes Rachel? And if that's the case, she thinks that she would just need to exaggerate a little and spread rumor that he likes Rachel. Due to which, the distance between them would grow naturally, and she would be easily able to complete her mission then. And for that to happen, she decides that she would need to get closer to the whole team. Now in theory class, after finishing up the lesson, the instructor tells everyone to choose a small dungeon next week and present their best raiding strategy they can come up with. And for the homework this time, Hosung is not worried at all, due to having both Rachel and Hajin in his team. As he tells Hajin that he would counting on him, while he replies that he isn't that good. Hearing which, Hosung calls him very humble. The class president tells everyone that there is a team leader meeting next week Wednesday, and all of the leaders have to gather at the auditorium for it. And so Hajin and Rachel starts to leave as well, while Hajin asks if they should head to the cafe to decide what roles each of them will be having. Toma comes along with a big smile on her face, saying that while they are going to the cafe, they should have some cake and get to know each other better. Seeing her like this, confuses Hajin to great extent. As such, he asks Toma what is she doing, and she replies that she just want them to bond as a team, while thinking that it's Hajin's reaction which is strange. Hajin wonders why is Toma being suddenly so proactive, and she starts to push everyone to the cafe quickly, leaving Hajin in shock. Seeing all this, Hajin smells something fishy. Now at the restaurant, Hajin has already scanned the roof and the underground, but haven't found any traps, but he still feels something is off, and Rachel calls out his name. As so, he suddenly snaps back and starts reporting. He assigns roles that Hosung and Bokyu will look for information on the dungeon, while Toma and Rachel will calculate the density. And once the research is complete, he would collate them and do the presentation. Toma then tells them to stop with the homework talk, which prompts Hosung to call her easygoing. Bokyu comments, saying that he is glad to have Hajin on his team, as he was really worried for this group assignment. He tells Hajin that having good results must be nice, and he is also getting quite attention in battles after he changed to become a shooter, to which he replies that it's nothing great, just normal for him. He then asks if he has been approached by a famous guild before, and he replies he is while thinking of the chameleon troop. Hearing this, Rachel tugs on his clothes to ask him something. She asks if the Imperial Guild has approached him, and Hajin seems confused about it, and Rachel adds, from the England Imperial Family Guild. Hajin replies that he doesn't remember anything like that, but suddenly remembers that he did got something. He did got an email from them, but he didn't realize since he doesn't check it every day. Seeing this, she wonders why would they approach why email and starts to get angry as Hajin starts to check the email. The contract offers 100 million annual salary and commission separate, which Hajin considers not very good terms, considering that they are trying to recruit him, as so, Rachel asks Hajin to let her have a look at it as well. As she does, she is shocked seeing the bad offer, as she wonders, why are they doing work like this? She quickly starts to take her leave while telling Hajin to forget this email and not read it, and seeing her leave like this makes Toma surprised as well. Her plan starts to get ruined, as she thinks, how can she leave first, as she wanted him to sit and chat with Hajin. Meanwhile, Hajin wonders what happened, and so does Hosung. Toma sighs, seeing as how nothing is going according to her plan. But seeing Hajin's expression and the situation, she gets an idea and tells Bokyu, if doesn't he think that Hajin likes Rachel. Now fast forward at the gym auditorium, we see Hajin is taking a drink after stamina training. He tries to open the can but is unable to, as he doesn't have the strength left to do so. But suddenly someone does that for him from behind, and he looks back to check who is it as they call out his name. And we see it's Naeun, who tells Hajin that she wants to talk to him for a second. As Naeun looks at him with nervousness, Hajin asks her, what is it, and she hesitates in saying. She finally speaks up, it's about their team's presentation about the Hongchen Mantis dungeon, and she wanted to ask him if he knew anything about it. Hajin asks her, how did she manage to pick the hardest dungeon of them all, which she replies that it's not something she wanted to do either. It was a obnoxious mage who kept insisting that they do that. From that, Hajin remembers that it's probably, Oh Junsik. And from what he remembers, he does have skills, but he is very boastful and rude, because his family is pretty rich, he doesn't feel inferior even he is in front of Naeun. As such, Hajin decides to tell her the necessary information for it, and tells her that she would get bonus points since it's much more difficult. He then asks if he is doing the presentation as well, and Naeun replies that he insisted on that as well, but questions, why is he asking? Hajin advises her to change it to another member. While stating that his facial physiognomy shows that he is someone who likes to put up a tough act, but he would probably freeze up in time for presentation. And if she let someone like him present, then Cube and the whole society will crumble and their result would also become total disaster. Naeun quickly agrees, while saying that she thought the same thing as well, and was going to let it go. After yapping for a bit, she claims that she has never seen anyone do whatever they want even more than her, and Hajin comments that she does recognize that she does whatever she wants to. He then suggests to let Hazuki do the presentation, and Naeun replies that she wanted that as well, but she is not sure that Junsik will be okay with it. And as they continue their talk, they both think, were they always this close, to be able to chat with each other like this? Upon realizing, they both get awkward and Naeun leaves while telling him to be careful while exercising, and Hajin also leaves to finish his weight set. Fast forward, on the day of the presentation, we see Jinsuk completely wrecking the presentation as he gets too scared and nervous. Seeing which, Hajin calls it a pathetic look, and notes that in the end, they weren't able to change their presentator, while Naeun is burning up in anger. After the presentation, Jinsuk walks back as if nothing happened, while casually apologizing for getting too nervous. Both Naeun and Hazuki are left speechless at first, and then Naeun gets furious at his attitude and Hazuki tells her to let it go. Naeun plans to knock his shit off when she meets him after the class. And as the instructor calls for the next team, it's Hajin's turn, who walks past by her, wearing glasses. Seeing him in glasses, Naeun is shocked. Hajin then begins his presentation. It's about the dungeon which existed at the foot of Sirak Mountain. Hearing him give the presentation, Naeun is quite impressed, as she thinks that Hajin is really good at this. The instructor then raises his hand and asks him, how is he able to estimate the countercurrent of mana with only that amount of information? Hajin smiles and explains that he can do this with a formula over here, and seeing which, everyone is left really impressed, as they comment how good Hajin is with presentations as well, which they find unexpected. And seeing him like this, Naeun blushes and thinks that he looks a little cool. As the presentation ends, Rachel and Hajin high-five each other and Naeun looks back at them. And in the end, she is left pouting and annoyed with their interaction. Fast forward, we see Rachel at the gym, as she thinks that her today's schedule has ended, and the presentation has ended nicely as well. And she has also passed Hajin the contract. Hajin asks Rachel if she is going to the after party, but she declines, saying that she has some training scheduled. And as Hajin starts to leave, Rachel stops him and pulls something out of her bag. She hands him over some paper, and tells him to take it. He asks her, what is this, and she replies that it's the Imperial Family Guild's preliminary contract. And this one has much better terms than what he got previously. She explains that she is the one who told them to approach Hajin in advance, but they had a slight misunderstanding seeing his rank. As so, she tells him to reconsider their proposal seriously once more. Back to the present, Rachel thinks that she has nailed it with that, and decides to change quickly and go back to her dorm to sleep. And right as she is about to open the gate, she hears someone talking about a rumor. A rumor that Hajin likes Rachel. Though they wonder if it's true, and it's okay for Hajin to even do that, and they apparently also heard that Hajin has already confessed to her, while Rachel is standing outside, hearing all this. And as she processes the information, she blushes hard, while thinking if Hajin actually likes her. Rachel is quite flustered while hearing that Hajin already confessed, while thinking, what the hell are they saying? But more importantly, she wonders, how does they even know, as the girls comments that Hajin looked suspicious to them, and assumes this was the reason he was following Rachel around. Hearing which, Rachel gets angry, as they were only doing it since they were in the group, and while angrily calling their comments nonsense. She then suddenly remembers her moments with Hajin, while thinking that he had to be around her, and then she remembers Hajin saying that he is a fan of hers. They then comment about the difference in both of their status, and as she is standing in the way, someone bumps shoulder with Rachel. And we see it's Naeun and Yoon-ha, as Naeun asks Rachel, what is she doing? Rachel freezes up and replies, nothing, and Naeun gets pissed while telling her to get her foot off hers already. She apologizes and Naeun and Yoon-ha enters the changing room, while Rachel thinks it's going to be a problem if they enter the room right now. The girls inside asks Naeun and Yoon-ha if they heard a rumor. Meanwhile Rachel freaks out, wondering what should she do, since it would be a problem if the ridiculous rumor keeps spreading. Right as they were about to tell them about Hajin, Rachel quickly enters the room. Seeing her, the girls wonders if she heard them, and quickly runs away while Naeun asks them to finish what they were trying to say. She tries to ask what they were trying to say about Hajin, but they run away and Naeun is left confused. Meanwhile, Rachel gives a sigh of relief, and Naeun is annoyed thinking what they were trying to say. Yoonha speaks up and asks Rachel that she seems to be on the same team as that person. Hearing which, Rachel is confused as to who that person is, and Naeun clarifies that Yoonha is talking about Hajin. And for that some reason, Yoonha is unable to say his name out loud, which Yoonha denies. Yoonha continues with her question and asks Rachel, how is it? But Rachel is confused at what Yoonha is trying to say. Yoonha smirks, while asking, why is she acting like she doesn't know? She is talking about the fact that the Imperial Family Guild already made contact with him, which everyone already knows. She comments sarcastically that it's surprising that Imperial Family's precious preliminary contract was used on a rank 334, it wouldn't make sense unless the Imperial Guild has gone crazy. Though, she would have understood if it was someone who saw what he was hiding. Hearing their talks, Naeun is confused, while wondering, what are they even talking about? Rachel replies that she is not sure what Yoonha is getting at, and even so, they have the right to contact him early based on their treaty. Yoonha laughs, while saying that she was just joking about it. But she then warns her that it would be wise for them to not use that privilege carelessly, as it wouldn't be good if she makes enemies with people around her unnecessarily. Rachel realizes that Yoonha is giving her a warning, and assumes that she is telling her that she had dibs on him first, and doesn't want Rachel to cross the lines here. Rachel thinks that there is no need for her to hold on to Hajin if he rejects their offer anyways. Meanwhile, Yoonha thinks that Rachel would back down with this warning and tells her that it was fate they are in this situation, and offers her to get some supper in her room before she leaves. But much to Yoonha's shock, Rachel takes up on her offer, while thinking that she doesn't know why, but she doesn't have any intention to lose to Yoonha right now. Fast forward and we see all of them sitting in Yoonha's room, as both Rachel and Yoonha seems quite. Naeun gets nervous due to the atmosphere between them, and from her point of view, they were also only talking about things that only they understand. Yoonha wonders what Rachel is thinking, as that suggestion for supper was only supposed to be a formality, so she didn't thought that Rachel would actually agree. Yoonha then asks Rachel if she wants some juice and she declines, and the atmosphere again gets tense as Yoonha gets annoyed. But Yoonha walks up and gets some juice for herself, while beginning to ask Rachel something. She questions Rachel, how did she came to know about Hajin? Rachel remembers about that bullet incident, and replies that she came to know him naturally. Yoonha smirks, while asking if she also knows that he is hiding his true self. And Rachel isn't able to reply anything, and Yoon tells her that it's an information which is difficult to find after all. Rachel acknowledges that she knows nothing about his past, nor the reason he is hiding his strength, and replies to Yoonha that nothing changes even if she doesn't know such information, and Yoonha replies that why wouldn't it, and starts to explain about how her guild is stronger in terms of information than most guild, but Rachel interrupts, while saying that what she meant it's, she still has the upper hand, by waiting patiently until Hajin himself tells her why, at least compared to looking into him and finding out that information. And hearing her response, Yoonha is taken back in surprise. Rachel then gets up and starts to leave while saying that she is getting quite late. On the way out, she thanks Yoonha for inviting her to supper. Meanwhile, Yoonha and Naeun are completely silent. But Naeun shouts and complains about those two saying things that she doesn't understand at all, while asking them to speak in Korean, while in fact the conversation was in Korean. We switch scenes to Cafe Carrot, and there the two girls tells Toma that Hajin likes Rachel. She tries to act surprised at this revelation, while the blonde girl guesses that she didn't heard the news since she came from outside, but apparently Cube has been in uproar due to that rumor recently. But in reality, Toma knew it, as she was the one going around and spreading this crazy rumors. The black-haired girl comments that while they've been hanging around together a lot lately, she assumes that is due to them being a team, hearing which Toma gets a bit nervous. And, once Rachel graduates from Cube, she would become the captain of the Imperial Guild, she could just be making more acquaintances in advance, which actually sounds convincing to the blondie. And since Hajin improved to 334 recently, he is actually perfect for England's Imperial Guild, ranked 60 at the world. Hearing this all, Toma thinks that this isn't how it's supposed to go. Her plan was to first get closer to some cube cadets and then lead them to spread the rumors even more. So she cannot have these rumors dying out already. She thinks that she has to get them more interested in this. As such, she tells them that she saw Hajin staring at Rachel, and his eyes seemed full of love, which she herself thinks sounds a little far-fetched. But they believe her, and get excited hearing it, and Toma notes that they are at age where they are very interested in other people's affairs. Toma then starts explaining made-up scenarios to them, while we see her smartwatch glowing. Meanwhile, we see someone has access to her smartwatch and is reading her messages. And it's Hajin, who already expected that she came to Cube for other reasons. Last month, he met Toma at a nearby convenience store, as we see Toma approaches Hajin and greets him. And Hajin feels that he has been running into her a lot more recently. But while talking, he notices something strange about her watch. And upon checking it, he realizes that it's indeed a fake one, since it cannot deceive his eyes. As he reads her messages, he confirms that Toma is indeed after Rachel. Although he had to use ATSP so that she doesn't realize that she has been hacked, he did got some good information from it. He chuckles thinking that Toma wouldn't imagine that she is leaking information. Some of her messages informs Hajin about an item that Toma's organization has put on the management center on the lowest floor in underground area B3. And since the date is tomorrow, Hajin realizes that he needs to hurry up, and just then, his smartwatch buzzes. He gets a message with a picture. Seeing it's a question, he wonders if it's Rachel. But later realizes that it's not her, and we see it's actually Nayoon. She looks over to Rachel, who is sitting right across her, and upon seeing her ponder over it, she notes that it must be difficult for her as well. She sighs, and thinks that it's probably a piece of cake for Hajin. She looks over to her smartwatch, and thinks, what should she text him to ask her to teach her this? In the end, she finally texts him, simply asking to teach her the question. She claims that while she is close to solving it, she is still asking just in case she gets it wrong. And fast forward 20 minutes later, she still haven't got an answer from him, which makes her think that he ignored her. And right as she angrily gets up, her smartwatch buzz. Upon noticing it's from Hajin, she chuckles and sits back down. Back to Hajin, who took time to write an answer since he had to write something that Nayoon can understand. He thinks that Nayoon really works hard on everything she does, just like in the previous presentation too. Which makes him believe that she would actually become a better hero than her own brother. And from that, he remembers that he completely forgot about her brother. As although he is in coma right now because he become a seed of the demon, he would become demon after the incubation period. And there aren't any heroes strong enough to defeat him yet. No one knows how long he will stay asleep either. So, he has to do something before that happens. But the problem is that he is the only who knows that Chai Jin-yoon is in this state. It would be impossible for him to get close to him by himself. Unless he can disguise himself. He remembers and picks up the card that Captain gave him. And remembers that she asked him to join them. Upon receiving the card, he sees the name as Geronimo Mercenaries. They are currently one of the top few mercenaries currently. However, it's actually just a disguise for the Chameleon Troop, though he still doesn't know why they recruit him instead of Shin, which makes him wonder how much the story will change with this. And if he can get help from them, it would be possible to kill Chai Jin-yoon. Without anyone realizing it. Suddenly, Evangel wakes up and calls him out, and asks if he is not sleeping yet. He apologizes to her for waking her up with lights and picks her up to get her back to sleep. Hajin decides to slow down a little right now, since if the incubation period for the seed is around 5 to 6 years, he will still have 1 year left. And with that much time, he is sure that there is a way to resolve this. Fast forward to the next day, as the instructor tells them that today's practical training would be a mock relic war. Hajin remembers that normally for relics, the country that found them will become their owner. But there are numerous countries that have been destroyed by outcalls in the world. As such, in the current situation, relics discovered in those empty lands belong to the finders. In order to obtain those relics, guilds or even demonic humans would fight among themselves, which is known as relic war. In simple words, this training exercise is for them to experience what a real relic war would be like. The instructor explains that the size of the relic excavation site will be extremely large. The theme will be melee. The command hierarchy, methods of contacting other team members, and the location of relic are unknown, so they would need to make good decisions every turn. During the training, the white team will be in charge of defending and the black team will be in charge of attacking. When they judge that they have taken a fatal injury, or if they shout surrender, then they will be disqualified. He then snaps his fingers, and we see everyone gets a blindfold on their eyes and are unable to see anything. He tells everyone to calm down, as it's his mana, so they shouldn't be surprised. He has covered their eyes so they can randomly assign them to all different locations, and they start to get moving. Though Hajin is not surprised that an upper intermediate hero is capable of covering eyes of this many cadets at once. But despite this, Hajin is completely able to see through it. He explains that when someone mentions a relic excavation site, people would usually think about pits, but the most advanced technology that is used would make it closer to being an underground bunker. Since there are people who possess all sorts of amazing talents in this world, and as they reach the underground floor 1, Hajin remembers the number of people who would be assigned here. And that would be 15 cadets. And underground floor 2, 25 cadets. Underground floor 3 has Chai Naeun and Rachel and 15 other cadets. Due to this, he notes that there is going to be a huge fight between them. And as he reaches his location, he notices that he is on underground floor 4, and on the black team. Though he also wanted to find out where Shin Jonghak and Suho is, but he has no choice, and he wonders if the area he is in is residential. Suddenly, he notices someone in the other room. The instructor announces that locations have been assigned to all cadets. The relic is either guarded by an NPC, or it's being moved around. The white team has to defend the relic, while the black team needs to steal it. With this, the countdown begins, and the door to the next room starts to open. Everyone gets ready as the countdown starts from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the relic war begins. Hajin readies his weapon, and remembers that the relic that Toma is supposed to collect is in the B3 region of the lowest floor. But for Hajin, it has gotten complicated, as in his next room is Yoon-ha, and she is on the white team. And in order to get to the corridor, he would definitely run into her. While Yoon-ha knows that someone is there, she doesn't know who is it, but she heard everything. She asks Hajin what team is he on and gives him information that she is on the white team. Hajin doesn't answer, due to which she assumes that he must be on the black team. She tells him that she feels bad for him, as it had to happen to him from the start. And while being smug, she tells him to think of himself as unlucky. But as she sees who is on the other side, she is left completely shocked. She goes completely silent upon seeing him, and Hajin wonders why did she suddenly stop her attack. And he notes that she somehow looks a little tense. And we see Yoon-ha is actually scared, thinking that it's really bad that she never thought that Hajin would be her first opponent. As Hajin lifts his hand up, she gets on guard and tells him to not do anything stupid while stuttering. Meanwhile, Hajin is confused, as he was simply scratching himself because he was itchy. Yoon-ha knows that while his weapon is a normal cadet pistol, he is able to produce an attack powerful enough to pierce through enhanced body protection. As such, Yoon-ha wonders what should she do right now. Should she fight him? But as she looks behind her, she thinks that she is screwed, as the outside corridor is narrow and just one direction. No matter how she runs, she would in range for his weapon. But she tries to pull herself together, as this could be an opportunity for her. Since so far, she has only estimated how strong he is through observation. And this is an opportunity for her to personally find out how strong Hajin truly is. Right as Hajin starts to call out her name, we see Yoon-ha attacks him with her whip. She strikes right on his hand, which makes him drop his weapon. And as his weapon is in the air, Yoon-ha uses her whip and pulls it towards herself. She gets quite happy upon taking his weapon, thinking that she was actually able to pull it off, as she didn't thought that she would be able to take it away. And such, she thinks that perhaps Hajin is actually not that big of a deal. She confidently states that without a weapon not even he can do anything, but just then, she notices his weapon is missing from her hand. She gets shocked, and asks, when did he got it back, and Hajin replies, he did just now. She questions that she didn't even saw him move, and asks if he used mana, and Hajin replies, just think of it as that. Since to be precise, it isn't mana, he already had ether wire in advance to prepare for situations like this. And now Hajin aims it towards her. Meanwhile, Yoon-ha gets scared as the space here is too small, so she would be in his shooting range no matter where she runs, and it would probably hurt if she gets shot. And if she gets disqualified right now, she would be the first one to die, and as Hajin is about to press the trigger, she closes her eyes. A bit later, we see Hajin walking out with an injured hand, noting that his bone would have broken if Yoon-ha landed her strike properly. As such, he calls her pretty strong. But when he arrives in the lobby, he is quite surprised to find it empty despite being this huge. He checks his smartwatch to see if they went to other areas already, as all the participants of the Relic War are equipped with a life signaling device. What it does is to determine the user's HP in numbers that can be seen by others. It's a device which can tell if the cadet is capable of continuing. So, if Hajin uses his laptop to collect the data of that device's GPS, he would be able to check the live GPS data using the linked smartwatch. And for test, he sees Toma's location, who is in the toilet of underground level 7. Upon noticing that there is no movement from her, he assumes that she must be standing by there while looking for the item. And now, Hajin decides to look at others' location at first. Rachel and Naeun are on underground level 3, and are engaged in combat right now. And on underground level 5, there is Kim Suho and Shin Jonghak. And seeing this, Hajin gets excited as it's a huge matchup, so he tries to find a CCTV near them. Both of them are simply standing against each other. Meanwhile, Hajin is listening in as they both comment that they knew a day like this would come. But suddenly, someone shouts near Hajin, and he gets surprised. He calls it quite a rowdy way to pass by this area, though he realizes that he got completely sidetracked, as he need to go to Toma. He tracks her location, and gets going. We switch scene to a black uniform cadet surrendering to someone. And it's actually against Naeun, who is quite proud of herself, as she got her 3rd kill, and she finds it quite easy. She is quite surprised at herself, as she got this good in less than 3 months of changing to using a sword. As such, she calls herself pretty talented with it. Ji-yoon then calls her out and jumps on her in happiness of getting saved, while Naeun asks her, where was she all this time? She replies that she was hiding when she got found out by the black team, and was barely able to escape. Naeun chuckles, and says that it's nice to see her here. She notes that while a supporter like Ji-yoon would be really weak in direct combat, she would be of help in a combat situation with her buff skills. As such, Naeun tells her to come with her to get some points, but she informs Naeun that Rachel is on this level as well. While she is surprised to know that, Naeun hears some noises, and as Jaeyoon is speaking, Naeun signals her to quiet for a second. As she notes someone walking up from the stairs, she tells Ji-yoon to get behind her, and she gets ready to attack herself. And upon seeing who that person is, they are both surprised. And we see it's Yoon-ha, who is quite tired and panting. Ji-yoon asks her why is she so sweaty, and if she ran into someone else. She once again refers to Hajin as that person, though Naeun realizes that she is talking about Hajin. Ji-yoon asks if she defeated him, since her rank is higher than him, and she hesitates in answering. We go back in time to when she was facing Hajin, as when she closed her eyes, Hajin simply tapped on her shoulder instead of shooting. As he leaves while telling her that it's just the start of the war, so they should take it easy. Hearing which, Yoon-ha looks back at Hajin leaving in surprise. Meanwhile, she hesitantly tells them that she has not defeated him yet, while thinking that she was the one who almost got defeated. Naeun asks, what was he doing, but Yoon-ha isn't sure, as she replies that it was probably reconnaissance. Ji-yoon questions that could he be looking for Rachel, in a playful tone, and Naeun gets confused, and asks, why would he do that? And Ji-yoon replies, because he likes Rachel, which shocks both Yoon-ha and Naeun. Naeun goes completely off the rails imagining Rachel and Hajin together. She tries to deny and ask, what the hell is she talking about, and Ji-yoon replies that it's a rumor that has been going crazy over at Cube past few days. Yoon-ha speaks up, calling it a bullshit rumor. Since she knows that the mock relic war carries a huge percentage of their grades, so they have no time to waste on such rumors, she quickly moves past the rumor and asks Ji-yoon if she has figured out the location of the relic, and she shows her that she got one. Yoon-ha quickly plans to move it to the 1st floor, and Naeun is still stunned from that rumor. Naeun also hesitantly tells Ji-yoon that she agrees with Yoon-ha that the rumor isn't true, and assumes that those rumors started since both of them are on the same team, and Ji-yoon agrees, but since everyone is talking about it, she thinks that there might be some truth to it. But Naeun still tries to say that there is nothing to it, and Yoon-ha notices her reaction and acts playful. Suddenly as she looks above, she is shocked upon noticing something. We see some projectiles are heading towards Ji-yoon. But Yoon-ha reacts in time and is able to deflect them using her whip. They both ask Yoon-ha if she is alright, and she replies that something like this won't get her. Naeun looks up and questions, who was that, and tells them to come out, and we see someone is here. And we see it's Rachel. Along with her are a bunch of members from the black team. Naeun shouts at Rachel for the cowardly ambush, but she ignores her and tells everyone to charge at them. As such, they get jumped on by the black team. Yoon-ha tells Ji-yoon to quickly hide, and she makes a run for it, but someone aims for her and shoots an arrow right in front of her to make her stop. Naeun shouts her name in worry, and we see she is fighting two cadets at once. But both of the cadets are pushed back and thinks that with them here, even Naeun shouldn't be able to win. But Naeun gets pissed and charges up an attack, and takes them both down in one blow, while telling them to get lost since she is busy. We switch to Yoon Ha, who seems quite tired from all the fighting, and the cadet fighting him notes that she is stopping them from getting to Ji-yoon, which makes him wonder if she always did such sacrificial plays. But he figures it out and tells his team that he thinks Ji-yoon has the relic and so they must find her. One of them ends up finding Ji-yoon, and right as he is about to attack her, Naeun rushes towards Ji-yoon to help. But she gets interrupted by an attack, which makes a large crack on the ground itself, and seeing the attack power surprises Naeun. She realizes that there is only one person who has this much attack power, and we see Rachel attacking Naeun from behind. But Naeun is able to dodge her attack, which surprises Rachel a bit. But Rachel continues to pressure her and keeps attacking her. Naeun notes that Rachel is incredibly strong, as her sword, which was outputting insane amount of power, is quickly being pushed back by her brute strength. And Rachel already knows that Naeun's sword skills are lacking, so she is driving her into a corner even more, so she is having a hard time just blocking her attacks. Naeun gets frustrated, and states that despite all of this, she really doesn't want to lose. She then starts releasing a huge amount of mana and applies it to her sword. As she attacks Rachel, she is able to dodge and notes that Naeun's energy has suddenly changed. And her mana is also really impressive, but despite this, she notes that Rachel is still inexperienced in using it. So instead of countering, Rachel decides to keep dodging and wait for an opportunity, but suddenly she trips and loses her balance. Naeun notices the opportunity and jumps up to attack, while mocking Rachel for her lack of focus. As she lands the attack, Rachel is able to dodge it barely, and plans to quickly close the distance between them. But suddenly, the ground beneath her starts to crack. And everyone around gets shocked, as the ground completely breaks and Rachel falls inside, while they shout her name in worry. Down there, Rachel is quite shocked upon seeing the whole floor collapsing from a single strike from Naeun at that. She hears others from above and snaps back, realizing that she doesn't have time to be in awe and she needs to join up with rest of her team. But suddenly, someone arrives at her location. And we see it's Suho, seeing whom she is quite surprised, while she pants and realizes that it's quite bad timing. Suho then rushes towards her to attack. We now switch scenes to on the other side of underground floor 6. Hajin notes the CCTVs and notes to be careful so they don't get suspicious of him. He stands outside the toilet and starts to act while thinking out loud on where the toilet is, while wanting to go in and see. Inside there, he notices someone sitting in one of the stalls. And as he opens the stall and looks inside, he finds a frightened man with a relic in his hand, and Hajin is surprised to find the relic here. As he takes away the relic from him, the guy runs away in fear, begging Hajin to spare his life. And we see that he is actually an hologram, and Hajin is quite impressed by how real it looks. But regardless, he sits on the toilet and has gotten a relic as well unintentionally, and now thinks to somehow take Toma out. He notes that Toma is right below him, and she is waiting in the toilet of the 7th underground floor. He remembers the message and the meetup time and notes that it's 15 more minutes until the designated time period, and wonders what can he do. He suddenly gets an idea as he looks up towards the vents, and realizes that the vents should be connected to underground floor 7. And so, he decides to use his stigma's magic to make it into some kind of mana smoke that can put Toma to sleep. And it works, as Hajin starts to spread it on the underground floor 7 toilet through the vents. Meanwhile, Toma is annoyed and wonders, what is this, and Hajin comments that it's useless even if she fans it away. Because this smoke is controlled by his mind, as it goes straight inside her nose, and she starts to cough and wonders what the hell it is. She gets up and starts to feel really sleepy due to this. She tries to resist falling asleep, but in the end, she ends up doing so and falls on the floor. And Hajin notes that his mission was a success. He then arrives in the CCTV room and checks if anyone is in the room. He sees the box and wonders if this is the item and decides to open it up and check. As he opens it up, he is quite surprised upon seeing what the item is. It's Gimlet of Weakening, which weakens a target it slashes, and is imbued with a magic effect called Weakening. Hajin is shocked seeing it, as it even has a advanced enchantment engraved on it, and that while it's not a relic, it's still worth hundreds of millions. And so, he gets happy as the item now belongs to him and he starts to leave with it. While leaving, he has also deleted all the recordings, which solves all of his problems. Upon reaching the above floor, he notices Rachel is standing there, and questions her current conditions upon seeing her like this. As he calls her out from behind, she freaks out, and as she turns back, Hajin tells her to calm down, as he is in the black team as well. He asks her on what happened and she replies that she was part of an ambush and failed. And then she ran into Suho, from whom she barely escaped, and then Naeun caught up with her, and after getting away, someone else fired magic at her. Hearing this all, Hajin comments that she went through a lot. She asks him, how many people has he taken down, and he replies, none, and asks back same to her, and she replies, only one so far. Hajin notes that at this rate, Rachel will get a low score in the Relic War, and it's not hard to catch up on those scores. And while it's okay for him to rank in the middle, it's not the case for Rachel, because her goals are really high up, and it's not too late either. He decides to give this relic to her, and upon receiving it, she asks if he found this and Hajin tells her to transport it to the top floor, since she is faster than him. She is quite surprised hearing that, and asks why would she, but Hajin insists her to take it, while saying that he wants to help her. Rachel is quite surprised at this situation, as she looks on at him with surprise. He also tells her that there is an emergency staircase on the right-hand side of where he came from. She can go from there, as he doesn't think anyone would be there. But Rachel is still hesitant, and asks if it's okay for her to do this. Suddenly, someone yells at her from behind that they found her, as she turns back. And we see it's Naeun, Yoonha, and their group, seeing which Hajin gets a bit worried as well. Naeun also notes Hajin, and sees the relic in Rachel's hand as well, and notes that she took it from someone else's hands. Hajin tells her to hurry up and go quickly, but she still hesitates to do so. He then tells her that he would buy her as much time as he can. And so, she tightly grips the relic and starts to run away while blushing and thanking Hajin for it. One of the girl, upon seeing Rachel run away, shoots at her to stop her from running. But much to her shock, her attacks gets intercepted and blocked before it could reach Rachel. And we see it's Hajin who shot her arrow down in mid-air, as she calls him a pest for doing so. She tells Yoonha that she would go with Junyoung to chase after Rachel, but she stops her from doing so, and tells them to stay on their toes while referring to Hajin as a strong opponent. As we see Hajin standing in front of their group, facing them all alone. Naeun questions Hajin if he thinks that he can take on 6 people by himself, and if he is out of his mind for thinking that. But Hajin simply replies, who knows, with an unconcerned expression. He starts observing his surrounding, noting that there are a lot of stuff here that he can grab onto, and he can possibly get away from them with park hour. And so he gets ready while telling them that they would know after they give it a go. Meanwhile, his true objective is to buy enough time. The brown guy behind them gets annoyed and questions Naeun and Yoonha about being scared of him, as he is just a guy with a firearm in his eyes. And so, since no one comes forward, he decides to rush in first himself to attack Hajin. Hajin quickly puts his weapon and shoots at him, which he dodges by backing off. Yoonha and Naeun provides him support by attacking from behind the guy. And as 2 attacks are coming at Hajin at once, he starts using his bullet time, and is able to dodge the attack, and counters by an attack of his own. His bullet flies straight towards the arrow, which was aimed at him, and collides with it in mid-air, which causes the arrow to change its trajectory towards that guy who was rushing towards Hajin. Seeing the arrow come for him, makes him realize his mistake, as it hits right on his head, knocking him out. Seeing this, everyone is left shocked and speechless, including Hajin himself. Naeun asks the guy if he is alright, and he gets up again, while crying and complaining about Naeun hitting her own teammate, as he gets blindfolded and disqualified since his HP reached 0. Meanwhile, Yoonha tells Hajin that she knew it, that they cannot underestimate him. She feels threatened while telling Hajin shock that he was able to calculate the trajectory of the arrow and even the angle of ricochet. Hajin himself is left shocked hearing that, while not knowing that he did something like this himself. We switch scenes to Rachel, who still seems to be running, while thinking about the rumor that Hajin likes Rachel, and she wants to believe that it's not true. She calls it quite unbelievable, and something that's only a malicious rumor. But she calls her thinking just her trying to rationalize everything, even though she knows the truth. As she finally reaches the top, she finds her teammates, who are glad to see her okay. They ask her, what is she holding, and before she could answer, they notes and announces that Rachel stole a relic. Seeing this, Rachel thinks that she shouldn't have taken it from Hajin, and that she is not in a position where she can feel emotions towards someone. Because for the sake of her country, her parents and her guild, she decided to sacrifice everything. And she don't wish to give up on what she has to protect yet. But despite this all, she makes a decision and gathers everyone, telling them that there is someone who they need to help in underground floor 6, while thinking that at this rate, she might end up just having expectations of his emotions. But as they arrive down there, they see a bunch of cadets knocked out. Rachel is quite surprised seeing this, as the guy behind her asks about the one who needed their help, which Rachel is unable to answer. She calls it really surprising, as while she knew that Hajin was strong, but taking on 6 people at once is still shocking to her, as just then someone arrives from behind them. Rachel turns around thinking that it's Hajin, but the mysterious person greets Rachel instead. But as she turns around and looks, the person turns out to be Shin Jonghak. Now we go back in time to a while ago, at underground level 5. We see both Suho and Shin Jonghak are standing face to face of each other. Shin comments that he has been waiting for a day like this to arrive, and asks Suho if he is racking his brains to come up with a smart way to escape, but Suho smiles and replies, "Not a chance." Shin aims his spear towards him and says that he is dying to see how long Suho can act tough, so he should bring it on and he would show him the difference of worlds between them. Suho smiles and rushes towards Shin to attack, taking him up on his offer. Both of them clash, as Suho states that he is not going to go easy on Shin. And Shin replies that he should at least not show him a pathetic performance. As their battle continues, they both seems evenly matched, and Suho dodges a strike of his spear. Shin quickly pulls back his spear, causing him to graze Suho's clothes and notices an opening to attack. He slams his spear on him, but Suho dodges, which causes Shin to comment that Suho dodges like a rat. But as he tries to pull his spear back out, he is unable to do so, as it's stuck in the ground. He gets worried and annoyed, and realizes that he made such a beginner mistake, while Suho takes advantage of this and kicks Shin on his face. It causes him to fall on the ground and also disarms him of his spear. Suho points his sword at Shin, signifying his loss, as he again remarks that it's like he told him before, that he won't be going easy on him. But Shin believes that it's not over just yet, as he strikes the floor with his palm. Suho asks him what is he talking about and notices that Shin has struck a pipe that was going through the ground. It explodes and causes a smoke screen, blinding Suho for a bit. And in the midst of that, Shin is able to escape and disappear. As he walks down the stairs, commenting that he let his guard down this time, and he would make sure to pay him back next time for sure. Back to current time, Shin says that he was doing something else here. Both Rachel and Shin notices each other and glares at each other awkwardly. One of Rachel's teammates asks Shin if he defeated those guys lying on the ground, and while he stutters a bit at first, he acknowledges that he is the one who did it. Hearing which, causes a reaction out of Rachel, while her teammate comments that there was no reason for them to come here. We then get her explanation for this from Hajin, who explains that Shin, who lost to Suho in a fight, discovered Yunha and Naeun having trouble with someone who was speedy. And so, he launched a surprise attack by throwing his spear and disqualified 2 cadets with it. Shin thinks that although he just stole some kills, it's still true that he was the one who took them both out. But Rachel seems a bit angry as she tightens her hand, and Shin comments that in this case, he would be leading the black team now. The other members have no problem with it and asked Rachel if she is coming with them as well. But she replies that she would leave here. Her teammate comments that he thought she was coming with them, and Rachel replies that she can do it alone from this point. He tries to convince Rachel to move together with them, but she still refuses and starts to leave, as she doesn't want to team up with someone who steals the credits of others. Shin simply sees her leave and feels as if he has been wronged. After all that, the mock relic war proceeded at fast pace. Shin was able to gather rest of the surviving black team and stole 2 relics. Rachel also achieved great results with her form of guerrilla warfare. Both of them were able to achieve satisfactory personal achievements outside the team's victory. Kim Suho stood out with his leadership and fighting abilities as usual. Combined with the relic that Ji-yoon had, they were able to transport 5 relics safely. And as for Hajin himself, he was miraculously survived the combined attack of Yunha and Naeun, and lasted through the relic war in his own way, by hiding in the bathroom. Though, Hajin feels like he is forgetting something, but thinks that he would remember it again if it's something that's important. And so, we switch scenes to Toma, who seems to have woken up. She remembers that she needs to find the item and looks at her watch, and notices that it's 3 p.m. She sighs and blames her watch for showing her the wrong time, and complains being given a faulty watch to use in her mission. She then pulls out a cadet watch and sees the same time in that as well. She freaks out seeing it and wonders what's wrong with the time, and also gets an unread message. It's a notification informing her that the relic war is over, with the results out as well. Seeing which, she freaks out and quickly runs out of the bathroom to check outside. And upon seeing it completely empty, she wonders what the hell is going on in frustration. Now, as all the cadets are out of the underground, the professor questions about Toma's whereabouts and wonders what is she doing. He then starts to announce the MVPs and the results. Black team, 12 members survived and retrieved 3 relics, and MVPs are Shin Jong-hak and Rachel. And the white team's MVPs are Kim Suho and Chai Naeun. 11 managed to survive and keep 5 relics. And so, the winning team is the white team. But despite her team winning, Naeun is still frustrated, as she couldn't finish her fight with Rachel, and they couldn't take down Hajin either, even though there were 6 of them. And the thing she heard, that Hajin likes Rachel. Yoon-ha arrives and asks Rachel if she is upset because of what Ji-yoon said earlier. She freaks out and denies, claiming that she doesn't even remember what she said, and Yoon-ha starts to tease her, asking her what would she do if Hajin gets stolen away. But once again, Naeun denies it and tells Yoon-ha to stop talking nonsense, while she laughs at Naeun's reaction. Naeun blushes while saying that there is nothing about Hajin that people have to fight over, while Yoon-ha comments that while she doesn't believe the rumors, she thinks that he might have joined her team since Naeun kept pushing him away. And Naeun replies that if Hajin swayed his heart so easily, then he is not the kind he would like to be with. And so, Yoon-ha once again chuckles and asks Naeun who does she like better, Suho or Hajin, which pisses her off. She shouts at Yoon-ha again, yelling that it's nothing like that. Hearing her shouting, Shin arrives, asking her what is happening and why is she screaming. Seeing Shin, Yoon-ha gets happy and excited, and Naeun asks him, since his team lost, how does he feel? He tries to act cool, replying that it's unfortunate, but since he is the MVP of his team, it's good enough, and it cannot be helped. Since Naeun was on the white team after all, and hearing the praise, she starts to get on high horse, acknowledging the fact, which makes Yoon-ha think that she is so simple. They all then notes Professor scolding someone. And we see it's Toma, as the professor asks Toma to explain herself for staying in one spot throughout the whole test. Everyone else wonders what is happening over there, as Professor scolds Toma. Shin starts to leave, since there is nothing else to do, and Yoon-ha also happily says bye to him. But he ignores her and instead tells Naeun that he would talk to her later, which kind surprises her, and Yoon-ha gets upset over it. She once again calls out to Naeun, and she asks, what is it? Yoon-ha questions that if she doesn't like Hajin or Suho, then perhaps it's Shin Jong-hak, but before she could even complete her sentence, Naeun gets pissed and calls her crazy for even thinking that, which makes Yoon-ha sure that she definitely doesn't like him. Yoon-ha suddenly tells Naeun that she is envious of her, and Naeun doesn't get what she means, and asks, what is she talking about? Yoon-ha doesn't reply and speaks in her mind that Naeun has 3 people she can choose from, while she has no one. And with this, the midterm's last large-scale practical training, the Relic War, finally ended. Hajin heads back to his room, while remembering that he didn't write Relic War in detail, so he stayed behind until it was over just in case, but nothing happened in the end. And now that he is tired, he thinks that he should have just gotten himself disqualified in mid-lesson. We then see Evangel happily and excitedly running towards Hajin and welcoming him home. He also gets happy seeing her and lifts her up and asks her if she had fun. To which she replies that she did, and seeing all the animals behind her, Hajin assumes that to be the case. Hajin reminds her again about what he told her about the spirit animals, and she remembers it well, that they must not be allowed outside. Evangel then asks Hajin about the food, which he apparently forgot since he was so tired. She starts to cry since Hajin didn't bring her any food. Hajin quickly puts her down, claiming that he has ordered it and it would be delivered soon, and quickly goes to toilet. He orders various food for her quickly inside there, and with this, he takes a breather. Suddenly, he notices something, a piece of news, which he was waiting for and got worried since he didn't hear anything about it. He then begins to check his stocks, as he invested around 1.5 billion in it. Seeing its current value shocks Hajin, as his stocks are up to the moon. He cries tears of joy as his 1.5 billion has turned to 15 billion. He thinks that the price will probably surge further, but thinks to sell just now as in case something happens. But regardless, He is quite happy that he has now enough money to fool around and do nothing for the rest of his life. But his mood changes suddenly, as he sighs and remembers something. The fact that this money would disappear once he returns to his own world. We now switch scenes to outside, and see the huge city. And now at Geronimo Mercenaries' office. We see Jane, who is looking for something that she can assign to trainee mercenaries. A requirement is tied to the test mission for joining the group. The target has killed countless people, a villain that deserves to die. But she finds something and contacts her captain, informing her that she got one. She asks her, "What's the request?" and Jane replies that it's Italian mafia, suspected to be a demonic human, which captain finds good. Jane then asks her if she got the answer that she needed. That if Kim Hajin would join the Geronimo Mercenaries. She once again asks if Hajin really told her that he would join Geronimo Mercenaries, and the captain replies that his answer was positive. Jane asks, what did Hajin told her, and she replies that he told that he would call her later when he has time, and it was on the day when they gave him the business card. Jane notes that from that point on, it's been 2 weeks. Which the captain agrees with and believes that she would get a call soon, and orders Jane to fix the mission, but Jane tries to tell her to wait, but she hangs up. Jane is quite in dilemma due to this. She wonders if Captain is being like because she never had a social life or if she is just bad at noticing. But Jane decides to follow the order regardless, since she was told to do it, and accepts the mission. We switch scenes to Hajin, who seems to be near the woman's dorm and notices that it's his first time being here. While walking, he notices Rachel from behind and calls her out, as she takes notes of him as well. Hajin asks if she is heading to the library, and she replies that she is, since there is not much time left until the midterms, and asks Hajin what is he doing here. He simply replies that he just had some work. And upon noticing, Hajin thinks that Rachel is looking a little dull from how she usually, even though there is still time till exams, he wonders just how hard is she studying. He gets a bit nervous thinking that it's perhaps due to him. He then questions Rachel, that she doesn't ask him any questions regarding academics these days. Rachel thinks that it would be like using him if she questions him even after knowing that he likes her, and replies that it's important for her to try and solve it on her own, and he should study as well, but Hajin replies that it's fine for him. And she can ask him later at least, which Rachel thanks him for, and quickly takes her leave, before Hajin can even properly say anything back. He wonders if studying is that urgent for her to rush off like this. He then meets Yoon-ha, who seems to be waiting for him. They both greet each other and Yoon-ha speaks up, asking Hajin what is it about that he was looking for her, and he replies that it's nothing big. He asks her about the pharmaceutical company that she opened. She replies that she wasn't necessarily hiding it, so it's not strange that he knows. It's only been like a month or 2 since she started, and asks, what does he want with it? He opens up his small pouch and throws something from it at Yoon-ha. And seeing the item, which is a 5-year-old wild ginseng, she is quite surprised. It's the wild ginseng that he found in the Geomac mountain. Hajin wondered how should he use it for a long time. He thought that since he have enough money now, he doesn't need to sell it, and decided it would be best to make it into an elixir. And he planned to make it immediately, right after he decided to do so. However, nothing came out of just 2 strokes, which leaves him with no choice but to give to a person who has enough connections and facilities to make an elixir nearby, which is Yoon-ha, as he confusingly asks if he is giving it to her. Hajin tells her that it's an investment, she can use it for research purpose, and then repay the favor through a good quality elixir. Yoon-ha thinks that nowadays, wild ginseng are difficult to find, even in the purple banquets, which gets her wondering just where did Hajin got it from. Hajin asks her if this works with her, and she smiles and replies, of course it does. And while it's going to take some time, she would make sure to return it to him with interest. She gets quite happy, looking at which, Hajin thinks that of course she wouldn't reject it. Her pharmaceutical company is definitely destined to succeed, but it would be 10 years in the future. Suddenly, she gets a call from someone, and excuses Hajin, while he wonders, what call would that be which made her expression that serious. He decides to listen in a bit, and it's apparently about some kind of rumor among the nurses. A rumor that Chai Jin-yoon's finger has moved. Though, it does need a confirmation, and so Yoon-ha cuts the call, while telling them that she would call them back. Hajin asks her what is it about, and she replies that it's just network management. Hajin doesn't inquire further, and looking at Hajin, Yoon-ha gets a bit nervous as she sees his expression, and asks him about it. He replies that it's nothing, and starts to head back. She shouts and thanks him for the ginseng, and assures him that she would repay him without fail. Though, seeing him go like this, concerns her a bit as she wonders, why is he like this? Back in his dorm, he opens his book of truth, and asks, when will the seed of the devil dwelling in Chai Jin-yoon germinate? But it doesn't work, and Hajin assumes that his magic power is not enough to ask for the details. And in this case, he asks something else, which is about how much has it germinated. And the answer is revealed, which is at 89%. He notes that it hasn't germinated yet, so the fact that he moved might just be a convulsion. The minimum delight essence he set is 5 years, and now it has been 4 years since Jin-yoon collapsed. And the remaining time turns out to be half a year. And we see he also got a message from Captain, asking him when he is going to contact her again. Hajin is in huge dilemma, as he grabs his hair in frustration, thinking that after winter ends, and before spring comes, he would have to kill Chai Jin-yoon. We then switch scenes to the hospital, and see Jin-yoon lying on the bed in coma. We see the pulse monitor starts to show activity in his body, and so, his hand starts to twitch. Fast forward, and we see Yonghan telling everyone about the class competition that will be going on this week, and everyone is required to take part in at least one of the event. The students then starts to decide in which event they would be participating in, while Hajin almost forgot about this. The class competition is, as the name suggests, a competition between each classes. The fields they compete in start with ones that relate to actual combats, and eventually branch out to almost everything within entertainment and sports. He thinks that if the event was for a formal class, he would have participated in the actual fighting part, but since the event is for cadets, it doesn't matter, and so he asks Rachel, what is she going to do, and she plans on to go for quiz. But Yonghan tells them that there is enough players on it, and they have enough players for basketball and soccer as well. So, Hajin asks him what is left, and he replies the only ones left are singing and archery, and Yonghan excitedly asks him if he wants to do archery. But Hajin glances back at Naeun, and she asks him, why is he looking at her, as she doesn't plan on joining archery. And so Hajin agrees to do that, and Yonghan writes down his name in it. He then also looks back at Toma, and we see he has accepted Toma's request in his truth agency. Meanwhile, Toma is surprised that she is getting a response, as she thought it was fake since there was no reply, while wondering if they are trustworthy. She then clenches her fist in anger while thinking, it doesn't matter to her, whatever they are or whichever time period they are in, as long as she can find her dad, is all that matters. Hajin silently watches her and remembers that last night, Hossup contacted him. He seems to have decided to quit his job, and has submitted an application for the information guild that he mentioned. Hajin is glad that he made the right decision and he thanks him for recommending them. Hossup then informs him that he also found who Argus Benjamin is, and Hajin is a bit surprised and remembers that it's the Toma's father that he asked him to look into before. And as Hajin asks him to find out where he is and what is he doing right now, Hossup informs him that he has already passed away. Now, on the day of class competition, we see students cheering up their classes, while Hajin remembers what Hossup told him. Apparently Toma's father spent time in nursing home within Korea, and passed away 4 years ago, and Hossup also sends the address of nursing home to Hajin. Hajin is a bit surprised to learn that he died, and thinks that it was no surprise why the Book of Truth wasn't able to find him. He also remembers that soon enough, the main story will start again, and he would need to deal with Toma before that happens. We then see him getting up and starting to leave for somewhere, and Yoon-ha notices him leaving as well. We then see him arriving and sitting in a church. He thought that he would feel a sense of reverence, but doesn't feel it. He then starts to check up his message from the captain, as he converse about the money, and the captain also tells him various other benefits besides that. Hajin remembers, the Geronimo mercenaries are the chameleon troop and they are a villain organization. While they have an unspoken rule of not taking unnecessary lives, they are no different from evil society, that kills people and plunders their wealth. But if he were to join the chameleon troop, he wouldn't have to worry about straying away from the main story, and since the pay is pretty decent, he should be able to deal with any unexpected situation that appear. And most importantly, he will be able to kill Chai Jin-yoon. From the very start, he knew that he wasn't capable of doing it alone, but it does bother him that he would have to commit crimes in order to do it, and it gets him thinking if he can really kill another person. And he is unable to decide that, since to him, this world no longer feels like it's just the inside of a novel anymore. Suddenly, Suho arrives at the church as well, and gets surprised seeing Hajin there and asks him if he is Christian. Hajin asks him, what is he doing here, and also disagrees with his previous comment, while asking him the same thing, to which Suho also disagrees, and tells Hajin that he was just reminded of his past. And so, Hajin asks him if he attended church in the past, and Suho replies that it was something like that. So, Hajin takes a lot of guesses on what he attended, but he was wrong every time. And lastly, he asks if it's a religion from another world, which visibly changes Suho's expression. Though, Suho calls that claim ridiculous. But he then calls out Hajin, and asks if he thinks that there might be another world, something like the Lord of the Rings. Hajin thinks and says, the outcall that happened 50 years ago, if they just think about the world in Anno Domini, there were no monsters or mana for 1970 years. And so, instead of monsters suddenly appearing on Earth, it would make more sense to think that they came from another world for a certain reason. And in that case, it would be a part of the other world theory, which Professor has talked about. Suho asks if it's one of the theories that is used to explain why the outcall happened, and Hajin agrees, and says, while there are people who say it's absurd, he still believes it's possible, and the outcall is already something that should be considered absurd itself. Hearing this, Suho agrees with his reasoning. From this, Hajin remembers that Suho is actually in a similar situation to his. But he came to this world when he was young and obtained a new family. And at the very least, he considers Suho to not be lonely. Hajin then gets up and decides to leave, while Suho plans to stay here for a little while longer. But before leaving, he asks Suho, since he don't have any agent yet, he would recommend someone to him, and Suho replies that he was going to take his time in finding one, but he tells Suho that he got someone to recommend, so he should hear him out. And as he leaves, he takes a quick glance at him, thinking that Suho must get stronger. Way stronger than his destined fate. Since for him, he considers Suho his only means of dealing with any unexpected trials. Now fast forward, back in the game, we see Naeun and Hajin again had a match, with Naeun coming close to beating him this time and Hajin telling her that he don't think he will be able to beat her in a few months' time. He then asks Naeun why is she not going to sleep today, since she told him that there was an event in academy, and she replies that it's just playing around, and she doesn't feel sleepy yet. He then asks if she is worried about something, and she hesitantly agrees. He then asks if it's a love problem, hearing which she blushes heavily, and tries to disagree by saying that it's nothing, but Hajin pushes her to talk, saying that he is good at listening to other people talk. And we then see Naeun starting to nervously speak up while blushing. Naeun tells Hajin that it's like something that she cannot have, but also don't want others to have it either, and Hajin replies that it's probably like a white elephant. And Naeun agrees with that logic, and Hajin is surprised to know that person can be considered a white elephant and assumes that he must be really popular. Naeun continues that he can say she was thinking of that white elephant, and Hajin replies that there must be a reason for her to think of him, about which she blushes and replies that she is not sure about that, and there is no specific reason she can think of either. From this, Hajin wonders if that person is really that attractive and tells Naeun if she is thinking of that white elephant, then she should go for it. And Naeun struggles to reply an answer to that. And so, Hajin tells her that if she continues like this, the white elephant will get stolen away from her. But she doesn't believe that, while trying to act, and says that it doesn't matter if it gets stolen or whatever. And so, Hajin tells her that while she thinks that it doesn't matter right now, she will definitely be regretting it later. And Naeun thinks that he is not a white elephant anymore, since now that she has started paying attention to him, she keeps seeing his strengths. Now fast forward to the archer class competition. The first place went to Justas Heim, who struck a target at 320 meters. We move to Naeun, who seems quite annoyed at something, and seeing which, Yoon-ha questions, why is she sighing so much, and she replies that it's nothing. She then moves on and questions, why are there so many mags here today, and remembers hearing that there will be 8 start mages here today, and that perhaps they all gathered so they could see each other at least once. Yoon-ha replies that there are only 308 start mages in the world, and Naeun realizes it to be the case for their meeting. She then notices that it's turn for their class now. And we see Hajin, who is the representative of the Veritas class, and Baru Moraine, who is the representative of the Devotion class. The announcer starts telling them the rules. Both representatives will fire an arrow in their own lane at their target, and the one who strikes the target furthest away will win, and they would only have one chance to hit each target. But there will be one difference, and the announcer asks Hajin to fire his arrow, starting at 50-meter distance. And right as he prepares to fire his arrow, we see his whole body getting pushed down. As the mages will be inflicting numerous effects to hinder the archer, and Hajin thinks that in this world, just hitting the target is no fun for both the audience and the archers. But, regardless, he finds these effects way too strong. We then see someone getting asked if the cadet with the red hair down there is their nephew. And the person in question is an 8-star mage, Archduchess Hajin. She replies, he is, but unofficially, though she does consider that he has grown up splendidly, which the mage behind her agrees. Hajin comments that her nephew looks even better when placed beside Hajin, whom she refers to as an average-looking boy, hearing which, the mage behind her chuckles nervously. And looking at it, Hajin doesn't find Hajin form to be too bad. She then asks the mage behind if she can take over from 350 meter onwards, since she believes that no one will be able to reach 350 meters anyways. The guy then remembers getting orders from his superior to let Hajin do whatever she wants. So the guy agrees, saying that it's just an event after all, and the cadets would feel honored just by her attendance here alone. And now we see Hajin has reached and struck the target at 300 meters, and Baru comments that he is pretty good, and that his talent isn't a lie. Hajin replies that he looks pretty relaxed, and Baru responds that it's just the difference between their skills, which pisses off Hajin. He asks Baru if he is not considering the fact that his aunt might be trying to hinder him. But Baru nervously denies the allegations, and tells Hajin that he is talking nonsense because he doesn't think he can hit the target. The announcer announces that both of them have surpassed the record for first place, and starting from 350 meters distance, the speed of target will be increased and the sequence will be changed. Baru then gets his turn, and looking at him, Hajin remembers that he is the beloved nephew of Hajin, but even then, he didn't expect the favoritism to be taken to this extent. Suddenly, Baru gets surrounded by a bunch of tree roots, seeing which, Hajin is surprised and wonders if an 8-star mage can do that as well. And looking at it, the plants are incredibly tranquil to Baru, almost to the point of patting him, but he also notes that Baru looks quite scared of those things right now. And when Baru takes his shot, he misses the target completely. Seeing this, Hajin says that the first basics of an archer is to remain calm, under his breath, while the announcer announces Baru's failure. Hajin also sighs due to it, and calls Baru a little rascal for missing. But regardless, she considers that it is going to be the last one, since if the dumb-looking boy fails, it would result in a draw. Now in Hajin's turn, we see the plants acting more ferocious. But regardless, he thinks that he just needs to shoot through them, and is also starting to get upset, and since they were just playing, he wasn't going to go this far. And decides to use his bullet time ability to slow down the target. But he then notes that the direct line of sight to the target has been blocked, and calls it a cowardly move, but he is not even able to see the target before he fires. He then suddenly comes up with an idea, and uses his identify skill with the random enhancement system. He selects the bow and arrow as the target, and changes the elasticity of the bowstring, and the flexibility of the arrow that will embrace that elasticity. And so, he enhances them with these properties, and takes his shot, which starts to swerve through the plants. Seeing this, both Hajin and Baru is left shocked, as the latter wonders, how is the arrow curving? And it also successfully hits the target, and the announcer declares Hajin's success in hitting the target at 350 meter distance. Baru questions who on earth is he, and accuses Hajin of using mana, but he replies that his aunt would have noticed if he used mana. And like that, Hajin throws away the bow right in front of him, while saying that this is what a difference in skill really looks like. And as he walks away with the announcer announcing that he has been recorded in the first place, Baru tries to act all cool about it. Looking at Hajin from the stands, Yunha comments that he always has to have the final say. While Nayun blushes heavily, remembering her thoughts, that now that she has noticed him, she will probably always see his strengths, and thinks to herself that she must have gone crazy. Fast forward, and the final competition was held on Sunday, and with that, the class competition was over. And Hajin was also finally able to spend some relaxing time with Evangel. He then suddenly gets a new message from Geronimo mercenaries, as he wonders, what is that? It's a mission for him, with a D-level difficulty and a reward of 300 million and a good item, with the objective being to eliminate Siemens, the closest aide of the Core Ion Mafia's Torino branch leader. The Italian Mafia took advantage of the government's weakness when the outcall took place to expand quickly themselves. They got a robust system and are very united, so they are starting to look like a nation by themselves. Hajin remembers that the core ion is a group that is directly involved in the middle part of the story. The aid of the branch leader should be around low grade 1 or 2 as well. And while he approved the test of the chameleon troupe so he could write his own story, he still thinks that it's too hard of a mission for a trainee. Though he notes that he is also a demonic human, and thinks that he might feel less guilty if he is killing a demonic human. Suddenly, Evangel calls him out as he was spacing out in the middle, and asks him if she can eat more. And he replies that she can eat as much as she wants, and Evangel gets quite happy due to it. Hajin thinks that he doesn't intend to start the mission immediately, he would still need to make preparation in advance. In this world, constitution refers to something that is innate from birth, something similar to talent. One can think of them as body's talents. And the constitution that Hajin has written is, body that can't use mana. The restriction of being unable to use mana with the body that can't use mana enables the positive effect of having vitality substitution. A normal person would call this constitution the worst, but Hajin cannot use mana to begin with, so he doesn't suffer any losses from it. And vitality substitution doesn't have any lasting practicality, but it's able to survive an ambush that would cause instant death once, which he thinks is the best for a low-rank hero like him to survive in the main story. The required SP isn't too much either, which he assumes is perhaps because the restrictions are a huge one, and so he takes it without any hesitation. And we see his special stats, accumulation of luck gets activated. And he gets a golden letter when calamities becomes blessing, which makes it so that the accumulation of vitality can raise his stats permanently, which surprises Hajin. As he thinks that although it says that only a very small amount would be able to, it's still just giving him free stats. And so, he loudly and excitedly shouts that it's awesome, and Evangel gets annoyed and scolds Hajin to be quiet when they are eating, and he apologizes to her for it. Fast forward, and he also went to retrieve the obsidian bracelet that he entrusted to Soul Magic Tower. And upon seeing its stats, he calls it worth the money. The guy also informs Hajin beforehand that the enhanced magic power is something that he can only use once in his life, so he should use it carefully, and Hajin realizes that the guy didn't knew about its automatic charging function. Though, he did find him pretty honest, unlike what was the first impression of him. And as he is thinking to introduce him to Yoon-ha when she sets up a magic tower later on, Soo-hyuk arrives and calls out to Hajin. He apologizes to Hajin for keeping him wait and asks for him to head to the office with him. Seeing it, Hajin is quite impressed, and Soo-hyuk informs him that they already have 11 employees, he also got 5 exclusive hunter contracts, and the office was an investment from Yoon-ha. He then shows Hajin the bike he told him to get, and Hajin is quite happy upon seeing it. It's an Augusta Vigilante, and seeing its stats and features, Hajin is not surprised that it's so expensive. He thanks Soo-hyuk for getting it for him, and he replies that there is no need for that, he can just let him know if he needs anything. Though, he won't be able to do everything he wants, and he then hears some noises coming out of Hajin's bag and asks, what is in it? And from it, a cute puppy comes out, seeing which Soo-hyuk is quite surprised. He finds the dog really cute, and asks him, why does have a dog, and Hajin replies, that he somehow got it. But Soo-hyuk doubts that and replies, that it doesn't seems like him. But he then gets a call, and tells Hajin that he would have to leave now since he got something to attend to, and Hajin decides to leave as well. He once again thanks Soo-hyuk for the bike and they both part ways for now. Hajin then decides to go somewhere without any prying eyes, and makes sure the area he is in has no CCTV. He has apparently also added new settings to his bike, and uses probability activation using his stigma magic, and the bike seems to be getting converted into the shape of a briefcase. Though, he notes that it's still quite heavy, over 20 kilograms. He then thanks the dog for staying in there, since it must have been quite stuffy. And we see the dog is actually Evangel, who pestered Hajin that she wanted to visit Seoul. He then asks Evangel to get going with him, and as she asks, where to, Hajin replies, to get some good food. We then switch scenes to Yoon-ha, and some lady who is telling her to take a good look, as all the land around here will become hers in the future, and that old lady is Yoon-ha's mother, Jin Yo-jung, who is a real estate mogul. Yoon-ha tells her to not worry, as she has already thought on how she would make use of it all, and her mother is quite happy with it, and calls Yoon-ha quite dependable, which makes her mom wonder why is her dad so immature, and the guard behind them realizes that the berserker Yo Jin-young is just a normal husband at home as well. Though, Yoon-ha tells her that he has gotten much better these days. Suddenly, as she turns around, she sees Hajin. But setting that aside, in shock, she wonders who is that kid with Hajin. She immediately decides to find out and tries to call him out, but her mother grabs her hand and asks her where is she going, as they need to go visit the tenants of their building now. She tries telling her mom that she got something urgent to do, but her mom tells her that she has to stay here, as she will be inheriting it later on, while she looks back and sees Hajin getting farther and farther away. But regardless, her mom drags her away with herself, while Yoonha really wants to check it out. We switch scenes to Evangel, who is eating out with Hajin and is really liking the food as well. Hajin asks her what else does she want him to cut up for her. He then asks Evangel if she will be able to get through the weekend by herself, hearing which she suddenly stops eating and goes dead silent with a blank, despaired expression on her face. Seeing her face like this, and noticing that she has stopped eating, Hajin thinks that she is going to cry, and tells her that he will buy her all the toys she wants today, so she can tell him if she wants anything. But she gets sad regardless, and agrees to do what Hajin told, while Hajin wonders, what should he do, as she got super depressed. Suddenly, the waiter arrives with more food, a tomahawk steak that they ordered, and seeing this, she again gets excited and happy, and asks Hajin to quickly cut it up for her, as Hajin mentally apologizes to her while saying that he will come back quick. We then see them walking down back home, as on the way, Evangel notices something. Hajin asks her, what is the matter, and we see she has taken a liking to a cat. Hajin wonders, what is a cat doing at a place like this, and Evangel asks Hajin that she wants to play with Whitey. Hajin asks her if that's his name, and she replies, it is. Hajin also thinks that it's really cute, and with the dorm room he is staying in, he could easily afford to take in one more cat. But he asks Evangel what would happen to her spirit friends if she raised this cat, as it might try to fight them, but Evangel replies that she will make sure that they don't fight. And so, he asks Evangel to make a promise to him, which she does. Fast forward, and we see Evangel getting angry and scolding Whitey for biting a toy. Hajin seems to be leaving, as he tells Evangel that he will be back just like he said, and that she should make sure to get along with Whitey. But she completely ignores Hajin, and seeing this, he notes that she is treating like he is not even here, which is making him kind of sad. But he feels much better like this. Fast forward, and we see Hajin has arrived in Turin. He was quite nervous since he has a fake passport, but it got through without any issues.
Right now, your brain's still open, still listening. That means I have one last chance to tell you something important. You didn't find this video by accident. Something pulled you here, so trust that instinct. Like the video, it locks in the value. Comment something, anything. It gives your mind closure. And hit subscribe, or don't. But if you don't understand this, you'll forget this moment, this channel, and you'll search for something like it again, but you won't find it. This is where that search ends. So act before your window closes.